Chapter 2901. This is Yang Ming, my sworn brother. Lin Dongfang introduced. He had some relationship with Tu Wanghai. Naturally, Lin Dongfang wouldn't put on a domineering attitude like he did with the other ancient sections. This senior Yang Ming was naturally Yang Qiqi's father, Lin Yi's master. However, Lin Yi would never have dreamed that his master and his old man were such powerful figures in the past. However, after this incident, Yang Ming left and Lin Dongfang once again lived in seclusion in the mountains. These ancient sects that suffered losses were all scared out of their wits. They kept their mouths shut about this incident, and no one would take the initiative to ask about it. As for Lin Dongfang, due to some reason, he also kept his mouth shut about the incident in the past. As time passed, this incident was gradually buried. Tu Wanghai greets Senior Yang. Tu Wanghai said solemnly. Yang Ming waved his hand indifferently and said, "Since you are Big Brother Lin's old friend, then you don't have to be so polite. Tell us why you are looking for us." Yes. Tu Wanghai didn't dare to play any tricks. He only spoke the truth. I invited the two of you here. Firstly, it's because of my own matters. I have been stuck at Heaven Class Late Phase, Peak Great Perfection for too long. If I don't advance to Heaven's path soon, I'm afraid I will die of old age. Both of you are Heaven's Path experts, and you are currently recruiting Heaven Class Late Phase Peak Great Perfection experts to advance to Heaven's path. So I would like to recommend myself. Oh? Most of the other sects avoid us. You, on the other hand, took the initiative to look for us? Yang Ming looked at Tu Wanghai with interest and asked, "Aren't you afraid that I will lie to you?" Others would naturally think so, but I have seen Senior Lin Dongfang before. I know that you won't lie to me, Tu Wanghai said firmly. We won't lie to you. But, let me say the ugly words first. We helped you advance to Heaven's path, so you have to follow us to do something. Yang Ming smiled and said, "Are you willing?" Of course. Senior helped me advance to the Heavenly Tao, so it's reasonable for me to help Senior. There's nothing to shirk. Tu Wanghai nodded and said, "It's my duty." Good. Then you can pack up and leave with us. Lin Dongfang said with satisfaction.
All right.
Secondly, I want to ask, how is my granddaughter's illness? Tu Wanghai asked. Your granddaughter. I've taken her in as my goddaughter. Right now, under the care of Big Brother Lin's medicine, her body is still very good. However, I didn't tell her about her background. I don't want her to feel any pressure. Yang Ming said, "This time, if you go with us, you can see her. You can just look at her from a distance. Don't say anything to her." I understand. Tu Wanghai hurriedly agreed. He also knew that allowing Tu Ranran to be carefree and without any psychological pressure would be beneficial to her growth. Otherwise, if she was troubled all day long, even Lin Dongfang wouldn't be able to help her even if he was a divine doctor. Well, if that's the case, then let's go. Things are more urgent. If you guys advance to Heaven's way together, we can rush to support earlier and return earlier. Yang Ming said, "No problem. Seniors, I'll go pack up and leave with you." Although Tu Wanghai didn't know what they were going to support, he didn't ask much. Since it was decided, then let's go. Who cared what it was? At this time, Tu Qingsong was already the young sect master of the Yellow Earth High Sect. Every day, he followed Tu Wanghai and learned how to deal with some sect affairs. Therefore, he was very familiar with what happened in the past. After Tu Wanghai left, Tu Qingsong inherited the position of sect master. However, what he didn't expect was that his father and the two seniors left for more than 10 years without any news. All these years, Tu Wanghai also inquired about other ancient sections. He asked if there was any news of their sect master, Great Elder, or Supreme Elder who left. However, no one had any news. These people just disappeared into thin air. Then, in everyone's opinion, these people were probably no longer in this world. What happened in the past was probably a scam. The two Heaven's Way masters took away and killed those peak late stage Heaven stage Great Perfection experts. Of course, there were all kinds of theories. Some said that the Heaven's Way masters were another level of strength. These people cultivated in another place. That place was Heaven Stage Island. The spiritual energy of heaven and earth there was incomparable. After these people advanced to Heaven's Way, They were restricted by Heaven's Way and couldn't leave Heaven's Stage Island at will. Anyway, everyone had different opinions. Everyone was just guessing. Even if what those people said was true, that the Heaven's Way masters couldn't leave Heaven's Stage Island at will, Tu Qingsong also wanted to know the whereabouts of Tu Ranran. However, when he went to Miaojiang with Tu Qingshui again to look for Lin Dongfang, he found that the market was long gone. There was a landslide there, and the original market was now full of rocks. Miaojiang was huge. How could Tu Qingsong have time to search slowly? Moreover, even if he searched, he might not be able to find her. Wasn't it said that Tu Ranran was sent to Senior Yangming? Therefore, Tu Qingsong could only return to the western region with Tu Qingshui. Now, Tu Qingsong suddenly got the news of the descendants of those two people. He was excited, but he didn't dare to immediately ask Lin Yi about the whereabouts of the two seniors. He could only let Tu Overlord and Lin Yi get familiar with each other first, and then find a chance to ask in the future. However, the only thing worth rejoicing was that Tu Ranran should be with Lin Yi. The earth essence that Lin Yi and Huang Tu asked for should also be for Tu Ranran. Uncle, what's wrong with you? Why aren't you talking? After Tu Overlord said Earth Inheritor, although Tu Qingsong's excitement seemed reasonable to him, he shouldn't be so excited that he didn't speak for a long time, right? Therefore, the local tyrant finally couldn't wait any longer and opened his mouth to ask. Nothing. I'm just too happy. Tu Qingsong felt that there were some things that he shouldn't tell Tua Tua about. After all, Tua Tua was young and arrogant, and his temper wasn't stable. If he told the truth, it would only make Tua more afraid, or make him work harder to please Lin Yi. That wouldn't be good. Chapter 2902. That's right. Although I didn't manage to find any news of my sister during my trip to the Central Plains this time, I unexpectedly found another Earth-type inheritor. It's really a case of planted flowers don't bloom. Tu Overlord nodded and said, by the way, isn't it only the bloodline of our Yellow Earth High Sect that can inherit and comprehend the Earth-type power? Why are there other Earth-type inheritors other than our family? Oh, our Yellow Earth High Sect has been passed down for 1,000 years. There should be some collateral branches. Tu Qingsong said casually. Collateral branches? There are? It was Tu Overlord's first time hearing that the Yellow Earth High Sect had collateral branches, so he was a little surprised. Of course. How about this? Can you look for Mr. Lin Yi and ask for the Earth-type inheritor's photo and name for me to take a look? Tu Qingsong asked. What do you want a name and photo for? Tu Overlord was taken aback. He didn't understand what Tu Qingsong meant. What did the name and photo have to do with whether Lin Yi's friend was an Earth-type inheritor or not? Oh, didn't I say it? She might be from a collateral branch of our Yellow Earth High Sect, Tu Qingsong said. Is that so? Uncle, do you think it's possible that she's my long-lost cousin? Tu Overlord made an even bolder deduction after hearing Tu Qingsong's words. Tu Qingsong was shocked. He didn't expect Tu Overlord to directly link it to Tu Ranran from a collateral branch. However, it was normal for Tu Overlord to have his suspicions back then. It was just that Tu Overlord had less evidence than him. Under the guidance of a collateral branch, Tu Overlord also made such a deduction. Uncle, although my deduction might shock you, it's not impossible. When Tu Qingsong heard Tu Qingsong's he thought that he was shocked by his deduction. It's indeed possible. Tu Qingsong smiled bitterly. He originally wanted to hide it for the time being, but who knew that Tu Overlord would guess it himself? If that's the case, then Boss Lin Yi might have become my brother-in-law? Tu Xiaowang's thoughts kept jumping. In his opinion, since Lin Yi was seeking medicine for Tu Ranran, then his relationship with Tu Ranran must be extraordinary. Perhaps they were confidants. Tyrant, what are you thinking? Tu Qingsong didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Besides, didn't you say that there's a girl by Mr. Lin Yi's side? You're talking about Yang Qiqi? Mr. Lin Yi's so strong, there's no way, he only has one woman, right? And from what I see, Yang Qiqi calls Lin Yi boss brother. Maybe they're siblings. As for Qiqi, Tu Hegemin didn't think much of it. People at his level didn't have the concept of monogamy at all. She was an ancient sect, after all, and they still followed the rules of the olden days. Yang. Yang Qiqi. Tu Qingsong froze at the name. You're saying, that girl's called Yang Qiqi? Yeah, what's wrong, uncle? Tu Xiaowang felt like his uncle was acting a little weird today. Yang Qiqi's surname was Yang, and the other Heaven's Path elite was called Yang Ming. Could they be related? The more Tu Xiaowang thought about it, the more plausible it seemed. Otherwise, why would Qiqi be with Linny? But he couldn't tell Tu Xiaowang too much about this. It's nothing, it's a good name. Good name? Tu Xiaowang was a little surprised. Were numbered names popular now? But it didn't seem as domineering as his own name. Yes, it's a good name, Tu Qingsong said seriously. All right, I'll try my best to ask. Tu Xiaowang was a little surprised at his uncle's sudden change in taste, but it wasn't his place to ask. In Yang Qiqi's room, Qiqi relayed what Tu Xiaowang said to Jiu, who was a little shocked on the other side. He went silent after Qiqi was done. I'm sorry, Jiu, but I'm afraid this is the best solution. I couldn't find a better way to help you. Qiqi could understand how Jiu was feeling right now. After all, Jiu was going to the Yellow Earth High Sect to accept their legacy, and there was something he had to do that could bring danger to Jiu. Don't say that, Qijia. You and Ebro have been running around for me all this time, and I can't thank you enough. Jiu said. It's just that I don't want to be separated from you. The Yellow Earth High Sect is in the western region. It'll be hard for us to meet again. Plus, what about the hacker mission? I've let it go. There's no one here to take over. We'll have to let Mrs. Zhou take over for now. Qiqi said. I want to ask you, Jiu, what are your real thoughts? You and Ebro have both embarked on the path of cultivation. I don't want to fall behind either. Jiu said weakly after a moment of silence. Qiqi paused, not knowing whether to laugh or cry. So, deep in Jiu's heart, he didn't want to pull too far away from her and Lin Yi. Lin Yi was already standing at a very high position in the world of cultivation, and she would also work hard. But Jiu couldn't, and the gap between the three would only become more and more obvious in the future. It was reasonable for Jiu to have this thought. Okay, then I'll tell Lin Yi bro what you mean. Qiqi confirmed Jiu's meaning and nodded. Okay. Jiu nodded. Hanging up, Qiqi went to Lin Yi's room to find Lin Yi. Qiqi, you and Jiu are done? Lin Yi opened the door and was a bit surprised to see Qiqi. He didn't think that there would be a result so soon. Lin Yi thought that Qiqi and Jiu would talk until midnight. Yeah, Jiu said that she's willing to become a practitioner and accept the inheritance. She doesn't want to be too far away from us, Qiqi said. Okay, if that's the case, I'll go find Duoba now. Lin Yi didn't say much, and he didn't need to. He understood Jiu's thoughts. Just like the miss back then, she also wanted to train and didn't want to be too far away from him. Thinking of the miss, Lin Yi couldn't help but sigh softly. He'd been out for a while now, and he didn't know if she was doing well. Chapter 2903. She was the one he was supposed to take care of the most when he returned to the city, because that was his mission. However, he often neglected her. After leaving the room, Lin Yi went straight to Tu Xiaowang's room and knocked. Diamond Star, right? The door isn't locked, come in. Tu Xiaowang had just ended his call with Tu Qingsong, thinking that it was Earth Diamond Star. It's me. Lin Yi pushed the door open and said. Ah. It's Boss Lin Yi. Tu Xiaowang jumped off the bed and ran to the door to greet Lin Yi. What are you in such a rush for? Lin Yi frowned. After this period of interaction, he could tell that Tua wasn't a scheming person, but he was a hothead when it came to handling things. Otherwise, he wouldn't have gotten hurt by Naipeo. But then again, which of these disciples of the ancient sects wasn't prideful? They were the elites of their sects, and when they went out, they naturally didn't like each other. It was normal for them to have conflicts. Boss Lin Yi, why are you looking for me? Tu Xiaowang didn't mind at all. This was his personality, and he didn't care what Lin Yi said about him. Let me ask you, that friend of mine, after receiving the inheritance, does she have to do that annoying mission to open the island? Lin Yi asked straightforwardly. Since Little Nine didn't have any objections, Lin Yi naturally wanted to fight for more benefits for her. Doesn't she want to ascend to Sky Dao? Tu Xiaowang asked suspiciously. As far as he was concerned, nothing was more important than a practitioner being able to step into Sky Dao. Wasn't this the pursuit of all practitioners? It was the same for Tu Overlord and the people around him. It was the same for his grandfather in the past. Therefore, Tu Overlord felt that it was natural for cultivators to pursue the heavenly way. It had been like this since ancient times. Although what inheritors did was a little dangerous, it was equivalent to obtaining a ticket to the Heaven Stage Island after success. After all, it hadn't been long since the Heavenly Island opened the sealed passage, and the number of cultivators that could enter was limited. Not just anyone could enter as they wished. These quotas were determined through the Heavenly Island Conference, and it wasn't an exaggeration to say that they fought to the death for it. Everyone has their own ambitions. I'm just asking. Lin Yi asked without any change in his expression. Most importantly, he didn't want the people around him to have too much relationship with the Five Elements sect and the Heavenly Elixir sect. Actually, once your friend successfully comprehends the legacy, that place will definitely sense it. If she accepts the legacy and doesn't participate in the plan, not only will our Less Earth sect be blamed and attacked by that place, they won't let your friend off either. They'll definitely send people to capture her and bring her back. Tu Overlord said, "This is also the reason why I said that after your friend accepts the legacy, she must carry out that plan. Boss Lin Yi, I don't deny that you're very powerful, but the people from that place are unexpectedly powerful. Their unique skills are all real ancient divine skills, and some even have immemorial divine skills. We can't match them." Lin Yi nodded. He had naturally experienced the strength of the people from the Five Elements sect. Tagan Long, the weakest among them, was already very powerful. Tian Chan, Little 11, and Little 1 were all super powerhouses, not to mention Ancestor Xianchen, who had always been hiding behind the scenes. I've fought with the people from the Five Elements sect a few times, so I know how powerful they are, Lin Yi said in agreement. What? Tu Overlord was shocked after hearing Lin Yi's words. Boss, you fought with the people from the Five Elements sect? A few times? Then you didn't die. Of course, I don't mean to look down on you, nor do I mean to curse you to death. There's no need to explain. I understand. Lin Yi smiled faintly. Every time it's extremely dangerous, and I almost died. Their medium was crippled by me. They've always wanted to kill me, but they're currently in a delicate state of balance. They're a little afraid. Fuck, boss is really boss, too powerful. Tu Overlord said in surprise. Even the Five Elements sect doesn't dare to act rashly? It's not that they don't dare, they're just a little afraid. Lin Yi was not arrogant to this extent. He just said, but it's only a delicate balance. Once my friend inherits the legacy, I'm afraid it'll be like what you said. The Five Elements sect won't let her go easily. Yes, so instead of being captured by the Five Elements sect after she leaves, it's better to stay in our Yellow Earth sect. We can protect her safety during this period of time. Tu Overlord nodded. In that case, I'll think about it. Lin Yi did not immediately agree. Although Little 9 had already agreed, but Lin Yi still had a responsible attitude towards Little 9. He had to carefully weigh the pros and cons for her. Boss Lin Yi, there's something I want to ask. Seeing that Lin Yi did not agree, Tu Overlord's heart tightened, and he could not help but ask. Oh, what's the matter? Just say it. Lin Yi waved his hand. I don't like to be wishy-washy. If there's something, just say it. Okay. How old is your friend this year? Can you tell me her name? Tu Xiaowang asked carefully. Oh. Why do you ask this? Lin Yi was slightly stunned. According to my uncle, only our Yellow Earth sect has the bloodline of the Yellow Earth sect. So far, no one else has it. So your friend may be my long-lost sister. Tu Overlord naturally did not dare to deceive Lin Yi, so he directly told the truth. Cough, cough. Lin Yi suddenly coughed after hearing it. How did Little 9 suddenly become Tu Overlord's sister? Boss, don't laugh. I'm telling the truth. Really? Tu Overlord saw Lin Yi's expression and suddenly laughed dryly. I really have a sister. She has been separated from me for many years. Are you saying that my friend might be your sister? Linny saw that Tu Overlord did not seem to be joking. He immediately frowned. Little Nine was indeed an orphan. She was his master's adopted daughter. In that case, it was really possible. Yes, so I'm just asking your friend's name and age. Tu Overlord nodded. Chapter 2904. 17. As expected. A flash of surprise and joy appeared on Tua Xiaowang's face. The age is about the same, but the name, it doesn't matter. What's important is that she's an orphan. Yes, your sister is 17 as well? Linny paused. Yeah, 17. Boss, do you have a picture of her? Tua Xiaowang asked.
Yes.
Linny took out his phone and logged into the photo gallery. He found a picture and downloaded it to his phone, handing it to Tua Xiaowang. That's her, me, and Yang Qiqi. The one in the wheelchair is Lil Jiao, but I don't think a picture is very useful. You weren't that old back then. You probably wouldn't have known her. Ugh, that's true. Tua Xiaowang realized that he'd wasted his time looking at the picture. He had no impression of his sister at all. This picture might be useful if he sent it to his uncle, Tu Qingsong. He shook his head. Can you send it to me? I'll send it to my uncle? Not at the moment. Linny declined. I'm not sure if there's a relationship between you and Lil Jiao yet. I can show it to you, but I can't send it to you. After all, the picture was related to the assassin organization's secrets, and Lil Jiao's image was confidential. He wouldn't give it to anyone before he was sure, not even Tua Xiaowang. I see. Tua Xiaowang was a little disappointed, but he remembered something and quickly asked, right, does that Lil Jiao have a pendant on her? A pendant made out of mud? And the word Earth is written on it? Tua Xiaowang had come to the Central Plains to look for his sister, and this was what he was relying on. That necklace was an item from the Yellow Earth sect, and it was his sister's identification item. She'd been wearing it since she was young. Oh. He was a little surprised, but he was also a little confused. I do have a pendant made out of mud, but it has the word 9 on it, not Earth. 9 foot? That shouldn't be. Tua Xiaowang was taken aback as well, his eyes wide with confusion. All these things match. Is something wrong? 9? Earth? He suddenly thought of something and slammed the table, which shocked Tu Jun. However, Linny ignored him and asked directly, how do you write the word, Tu? It's just a normal Tu word. Tu Ba Wang was a little baffled. He didn't know why Linny asked this. I think I got it. The Earth character you guys carved on the pendant is a linked character, and the two horizontal lines are joined together to form the shape of the Z. Since it's a messy handwriting, it looks like a 9. Between us, we're using numbers to arrange each other's names. I'm 1, Qiqi's 7, and when it came to Little 9, our first impressions, we thought that the character on her pendant was a coincidence, but it wasn't a 9, but a Earth character, Linny said. That's right. Tu Xiaowang also smacked his forehead and came to a realization. He then said excitedly, Boss, from now on, you're my brother-in-law. Ahem. Linny started coughing loudly. This Tu Ba Wang's thoughts were quite imaginative. He didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Lil Jiao and I are just siblings. At least for now. Linny wanted to say that it had nothing to do with Lil Jiao, but unknowingly, Lil Jiao's bitter tone rang in his ears, and Linny could only add, at least for now. But this addition made Tu Ba Wang's eyes light up. Haha, that's for sure. Brother-in-law boss, you won't reject this brother-in-law as your follower now, will you? Linny was speechless. What kind of relationship was this? But he knew that if he didn't agree, Tu Ba Wang might say something weird again, so he just nodded. Yeah, haha, that's great. My follower has finally become official. It seems that nepotism is really cool. Tu Ba Wang said proudly. I can send Lil Jiao's photo to you, but you have to promise not to spread it. Linny was basically sure that Lil Jiao was Tu Ba Wang's long-lost sister, so he agreed to give him the photo. It was just that Linny felt that things were a bit strange. Wasn't this too much of a coincidence? Boss, you can rest assured that I definitely won't spread it. Moreover, she is my sister. How can I hurt her? Tu Ba Wang promised. This matter is too sudden. I have to go back and communicate with Lil Jo first. As for whether she is willing to acknowledge you, I can't do anything about it. I will definitely not force her, so if she is not willing, I hope you guys won't force it. Lin Yi reminded Tu Ba Wang. Don't worry, boss. We'll do it step by step. We won't force it. Tu Ba Wang quickly replied. Lin Yi left Tu Ba Wang's place and went to Yang Qiqi in shock. He told Qiqi about what he had told Tu Ba Wang. What happened today was simply too shocking. Qiqi listened to Lin Yi's story, and her face was very interesting. She didn't think that Lil Jo was Tu Ba Wang's sister. This was a bit too much. Then, do we become relatives with Tu Ba Wang? Qiqi was a bit troubled. She didn't really like Tu Ba Wang's personality. There's nothing we can do about it. Tu Ba Wang may be a bit arrogant, but he's not an idiot. He doesn't act like he is in front of us. Let him be. Lin Yi smiled bitterly. This time, no matter what, I have to fix his meridians. Of course, this is just a small thing. The problem is, can Lil Jo accept this reality? I'll talk to Lil Jo about it. It's her family, after all. I don't know why they got separated back then, but it's good to be able to find her family. Qiqi said. Yeah. Lin Yi agreed. Lin Yi didn't really care about his parentage, and he didn't seem to care too much about the fact that he didn't have parents. But deep in Lin Yi's heart, he still wanted to see his parents. It was a kind of faith. Chapter 2905. And from the looks of it, they were very important friends, too. Otherwise, Tu Qingsong didn't think that Lin Yi and Qiqi would be running around for something like this. Tu Xiaowang, you've done well. I didn't think that you'd mature quite a bit after not participating in the test. Tu Qingsong said with praise. Uncle. Tu Xiaowang smiled bitterly. How could one grow without setbacks? He'd been crippled by Zhang Naipeo, and that was how he'd learned that there was always someone better than him. Email me the photo. Actually, it doesn't matter if you look at it or not. We can be sure now that little Jiao is Ran Ran. You just need to think of a way to get Mr. Lin Yi to send her back to our Yellow Earth sect. Tu Qingsong said, feeling a little emotional at this point. Could it be that the fortune teller his father met back then was true? Tu Ranran's fate had changed because of her man? Wasn't this person talking about Lin Yi? Tu Qingsong could tell from Tu Xiaowang's words that the relationship between Lin Yi and little Jiao wasn't normal, so he came to this conclusion. It seemed that his father's decision back then was a wise one. That 2 million was well spent, and not only was Tu Ranran fine, the Yellow Earth sect had a powerful helper. Other people didn't know about Lin Yi's background, but Tu Qingsong knew it all too well. It seemed that Lin Yi's position in the world wasn't looking too good, and if the Yellow Earth sect were to become Lin Yi's subordinate sect, that would be giving Lin Yi a helping hand. This relationship was different from the icing on the cake in the future. Whoever followed Lin Yi first and got Lin Yi's approval would have the advantage, and when Lin Yi grew up, the Yellow Earth sect would rise as well. Yes, uncle, I'll send it to you in a bit. Tu Xiaowang replied. You'll be in charge of this, and make an appointment with Mr. Lin Yi. See when he'll come to our sect. Tu Qingsong said. Little Jo suddenly went silent after learning about her parentage. After so many years, she had already treated Yang Ming's home as her own. Although Yang Ming was her godfather, he was more or less like her father. He treated her and Qiqi the same, without any bias. And so, Little Nine found it hard to feel a sense of belonging in a foreign house. Her long-lost family was there, her brother, her father. But in Little Nine's heart, Lin Yi, Yang Qiqi, and Qiqi's parents were the people closest to her. She had lived here since she was young. As for the Yellow Earth sect in the western region, this was the first time she had heard of it. She was still a little conflicted about the unknown. Lil Nine, what's wrong? Qiqi couldn't help but ask after hearing the silence. Big Sister 7, I don't think this is real. I have a family. Little Nine's voice was somewhat low. There was not the slightest bit of excitement from finding his family. There was only sadness from not knowing how to face it. Lil Nine, are you not happy? In the Yellow Earth sect, not only is your body's problem solved, but you can also see your family. Chi-Chi didn't understand little Nine's feelings right now. She didn't know why she was so down. Big Sister 7, it's impossible for me to say that I haven't thought about my family. When I was young, I did think about what my birth parents and family were like, but as time went on, I've long since treated you, i.e. bro, godfather, and godmother as the closest people to me. Little Nine said quietly. Suddenly, I have a family. I feel like I don't know what to do. Big Sister 7, let me calm down for a bit, okay? I'll think about it, I'll contact you. Okay. Chi-Chi nodded. Little Nine, calm down for a bit. After hanging up, Chi-Chi didn't go straight to Lin Yi. Instead, she called Mrs. Zhou. Mrs. Zhou was the other wife of Chi-Chi's father and an expert hacker. She was Little Nine's teacher. She was probably the best person to talk to Little Nine. But no matter what Little Nine decided, the Sky Elixir Sex test was finally over. The prize ceremony was set for tomorrow morning at the Sky Elixir Inn Square. It was called a prize ceremony, but it was just a symbolic certificate and a record of each participant's requirements. If the pills were in stock, naturally they could just take it, but if they weren't, they'd have to make a reservation. In fact, it could even be described as pitifully few. Altogether, more than 40 practitioners of Earth rank and above had participated in this trial. Calculating according to the Spirit Beast's daily killing rate of 2 Earth rank and above experts, excluding the few days when the Dragon of 5 Demons had issued the task and the 5 days after the 15th day, the Spirit Beast had lost about 30 Earth rank and above experts in the 10 days in between. However, the number of cultivators who passed the trial this time was the highest among all the previous batches. Therefore, even though so many people had died, no one would suspect anything. Foam Shipin's reward was a great recovery pill, and so did Gu Xian, Chikuan, and Li Siba. They all got one. Foam Sherpan exchanged for the Great Recover Pellet for Foam Nitian, and Gu Xian was a lone practitioner. With the Great Recover Pellet, he could defend himself. Li Siba was a physical practitioner. Other pellets wouldn't be of much use. Only the Great Recover Pellet could heal. As for Chikuan, he didn't even know why he got a Great Recovery Pill. Elder Bai was dead, and the Great Recovery Pill didn't have much use for House Zhao right now. But the Sky Elixir sect didn't have many finished pills, and he only had one with him. According to the rules, he wasn't allowed to ask for future pills. Of course, this depended on the Sky Elixir sect's mood. If they agreed, then it was fine, but Chikuan didn't want any trouble. After all, what Zhang Naipeo wanted was a bone-cleansing pill. The Sky Elixir sect didn't have any on hand, but for the sake of the everyday and everyday sect, Silkworm's sect agreed to let Xiaoming make one for Naipeo. When it was Lin Yi's turn, Lin Yi said to Kong Ming directly, "Great recovery pill." Chapter 2906. What the Heavenly Silkworm Transformation Master was thinking was, what did Lin Yi want the recover pill for? At the bottom of the cliff, Lin Yi didn't take away the 2 recover pills she had. What did he want it for? Moreover, Lin Yi had that kind of magical healing ability. What did he want the recover pill for? Could it be because Lin Yi cured 2 Overlord and was afraid of being suspected, so he covered it up? At present, this was the only guess she had. The news of 2 Overlords' recovery had already spread throughout the Heavenly Elixir sect and even the 5 Elements sect. Although Ancestor Xianchen was very puzzled as to how 2 Overlord had recovered, and seeing that he was very close to Lin Yi, he also suspected that Lin Yi had played some role in it. However, Ancestor Xianchen never thought that Lin Yi could use true qi to heal others. After all, using true qi to heal others only existed between people of the same sect and the same mental cultivation method. Moreover, the healer had to spend a lot of physical strength and true qi to heal others. Unless they had a very good relationship, who would make such a sacrifice? Moreover, Lin Yi and 2 Overlord weren't from the same sect, nor did they cultivate the same mental cultivation method. They didn't even know each other at all, and their relationship wasn't good either. Why would Lin Yi heal him? Moreover, it seemed that Lin Yi was very good now. It didn't seem like he had used a lot of physical strength and true qi at all. Therefore, even if Ancestor Xianchen was suspicious, he couldn't think of any clues. It was even more impossible for Lin Yi to give Tu Overlord a 4th grade recover pill. This matter could only be inquired about slowly, and see if he could find out from Tu Overlord. There was no other way, because if he asked Lin Yi would definitely not tell the truth. However, Lin Yi didn't have such thoughts about Tian-chan at all. Lin Yi didn't ask to refine the Ice Heart Jade Heart pill because there was a grudge between him and Kong Mingming. Even if he brought the materials, the Heavenly Elixir School might not refine it for him. At that time, he could just tell him that he didn't refine it and that he had failed, and there was nothing he could do. Therefore, Lin Yi might as well take a Dahuan pill that the Heavenly Elixir sect had in stock. Although it seemed that the Dahuan pill was temporarily useless to him, it was not. To Lin Yi, this was also a good thing. When Lin Yi used the True Qi Bomb, the whole body of the physical strength of the True Qi was shot out and accidentally injured his meridians. In this case, Lin Yi was unable to repair the meridians in his body, but as long as there was a Great Restore Dan, which could repair few meridians, then he could repair the other meridians. In this situation, without Skybolt Pig and General Weiwu, it was very useful. Lin Yi, don't you want to reconsider? You didn't want this Dahuan pill before. Didn't you tell me that you wanted the Ice Heart Jade Heart pill? Kong Mingming frowned and asked unwillingly. Oh, didn't I need 2 spiritual herbs to refine a pill for you? Lin Yi said indifferently. I only have 1 spiritual herb. I just need a ready-made pill. This. Actually, seeing that we are old friends, I can make an exception. Moreover, this is what the Heavenly Elixir sect promised you before. Kong Mingming quickly said. Forget it. I'll give you the ingredients, and if you ruin it for me, I won't have anyone to talk to about it. Lin Yi shook his head. I don't believe you. The smile on Kong Mingming's face froze, and he laughed awkwardly. How is that possible? I'm not the only one in charge of the Heavenly Elixir sect. I just think that it's a pity that you don't have this chance. If you think it's a pity, then give me another Ice Heart pill. Lin Yi said. Forget it then. Kong Mingming pouted and turned to ask the other participants. The Dahuan pills were all available, and so after Lin Yi and the others got the pills, they started their journey back. Lin Yi didn't give a clear answer to Tua Junwang, and Tua Junwang wasn't in a rush. He planned to walk around in the Central Plains. Now that everyone knew that Tua Junwang was Lin Yi's follower, no one dared to mess with him. Zhang Naipeo had suffered a setback in the test, and he had been feeling a little down lately. He didn't have the mood to mess with Tua Junwang anymore, and he was very wary of Lin Yi. Lil Qi, I'm going back. Are you going back to the private island? Lin Yi asked. The private island, also known as X Island, it was where Lin Yi trained when he was young, and now the base of the world's biggest assassin organization. Of course, this biggest was limited to the common world. The Yellow Spring sect of the practitioner world couldn't compare. Yeah, I'll go back and discuss it with Lil Jiao, and then I'll contact you, Lin Yi bro, Chi-Chi nodded. Lil Jiao's problem settled, so don't go running around. There's too much danger in the practitioner world, it's not for you. Lin Yi didn't want Chi-Chi to risk her life in the practitioner world. Lin Yi could help her now, but he couldn't guarantee that he'd help her every time. Okay. Chi-Chi nodded. I'll call you if I come back to the training world. Good. Lin Yi nodded and said goodbye to Chi-Chi before walking to Feng Shipian, Guxian, and Li Siba, who were waiting for him. Boss, we're going back. Feng Shipian said, a little saddened. They'd only known each other for a short time, but their friendship had been established. He didn't know if his father and grandfather would blame him if they found out about this, but he didn't know if they'd go back to the ancient house Feng. After all, a disciple of an ancient sect taking a freelancer as his boss, this was quite shocking. Lin Yi was strong, but there was no guarantee that his family wouldn't object to it. After all, Lin Yi was Nitian's enemy. Although the news hadn't spread yet, Nitian would definitely wake up after taking the recover pill. At that time, it would be clear who hurt him, so Feng Shipian had a headache. Li Siba was more relaxed. Although he was a core disciple of the Holy Fist Palace, Lin Yi was the one who avenged his fellow disciples. He couldn't avenge his fellow disciples, so he recognized Lin Yi as his boss. Lin Yi taught Zhang Naipeo a lesson, and the Holy Fist Palace certainly couldn't say anything. If someone dared to stand up and blame Li Siba, it meant that he didn't want to avenge his fellow disciples. Who would be such a villain? And Gu Xian, a freelancer, didn't care about what others thought. She just said goodbye to Lin Yi. "Boss, I'll go to Donghai City to find you later." Chapter 2907. On the way back, it was still Lin Yi and Qikuan together. Qikuan himself didn't think that he'd actually pass the test. He knew that the hidden house Zhao was here to send him to his death. He knew that, and while he had Lin Yi's protection, Zhao Qikuan was still a little worried before he came. After all, no matter how strong Lin Yi was, he couldn't protect everyone. He didn't expect that they would pass the test and get the pill, but the hidden house Zhao was gone. Qikuan didn't know how to face the hidden house Zhao now. His family stood against him after he left. Although his grandpa and Zhao Qibing wouldn't dare do anything to him after he went back, living in a house like this was a tragedy and torture. Lin Yi looked at Qikuan's unhappy face and patted his shoulder, sighing. "Let's go. There are some things you can't choose. Can you choose your grandpa?" "That's true." Qikuan smiled bitterly. "What should I do when I go back? I really don't know what the point of me staying in House Zhao is. My grandpa, why is he so stubborn? Is it just because Zhao Qibing gave him a qi-gathering pill that he let him become the head of the house? Some things are formed under the circumstances of a strange combination of factors. Now, I can't explain it. Under the circumstances at that time, old Zhao's decision was understandable. But now, I have to say that he was very short-sighted." "Yeah," Qikuan nodded. "Even the ancient sects have a few of them calling you their boss. My grandpa really is. One step at a time, we'll see." With Lin Yi's current position, the way he thought about things was different. In the past, he didn't dare touch the hidden house Zhao and House Yu because he wasn't strong enough. So, he kept their relationship at a balance point, and no one would take a step further. But now Lin Yi could totally wipe out any hidden house. Qikuan nodded and got in the jeep with Lin Yi, heading home. Tian Chan stood far away, quietly watching as Lin Yi got on the car and drove off. She sighed, "Endless sorrow after parting with you. We'll always be together, and there will be many obstacles in the future." Naturally, Lin Yi didn't know that behind him stood a girl who missed him. Tian Chan didn't attend the award ceremony, and Lin Yi thought that Tian Chan had already returned to Five Elements sect and wouldn't show her face again. These days, Tianli had been selling everything he had, borrowing from all over the place, but he still couldn't get 200 million. He only managed to get 40 million and transferred it all to Lang's CEO's account. Just when he was anxiously waiting for the news, Lang's CEO brought him a bolt out of the blue. "Boss Liu, it's bad. Because we didn't meet the deadline and gathered enough money to pay the smuggler. The smuggler found the border guards of that small country and reported the news of our smuggling. As a result, the border guards seized all our goods," Xiao Chun said sadly.
"What?"
Tianli couldn't help but be shocked, as if he had fallen into an ice house. Although he was hypnotized, it was only because of his unlimited trust in Little Pure and the belief that this business would bring him a lot of money. Now that his business was in trouble, Tianli was still shocked. He almost had a heart attack. That snakehead, why didn't he follow the rules? It's not like we're not giving him the money, we're just delaying it for a while. Why did he? I didn't have a choice, they're all desperados. I want to talk to them, but they won't meet me. Xiao Chun sighed, troubled. Why don't I try to find a way through the political connections here and see if I can pass the message? Lu Tianli hesitated. He really didn't want to use House Lu's political connections for this, but the situation was urgent, and he had no other choice. If he didn't use them, then House Lu would be done for. Smuggling was a disgrace to House Lu, but they hadn't done it yet, right? House Lu just had to be flexible and say that the goods were going to be imported legally, but they were confiscated when they were being transported to the small country. That way, things would work. CEO Lu, are you sure you can use your connections? The goods we're smuggling this time are prohibited goods, Xiao Chun reminded.
Isn't it just tobacco?
We're smuggling, but I can be flexible and say that we're going to import legally. Tianli was shocked, but he wasn't stupid. He quickly thought of a solution. CEO Liu, this isn't just tobacco, it's drugs, Xiaochun said.
What?
Drugs? Tianli was shocked. He couldn't believe it. He almost threw the phone in his hand on the floor. How did cigarettes become drugs? He took a deep breath and came back to his senses. Isn't it cigarettes? How did it become drugs? CEO Lang, you're not joking, are you?
Huh?
This joke isn't funny at all. CEO Liu, do you think I'm joking with you?
Xiaochun said faintly.
There's nothing special in those cigarettes. How can they be so good to smoke? That's... Tianli froze, only remembering after Boss Lang reminded him. That's right. Why were these cigarettes so good to smoke and addictive to the point of it? Could there really be drugs in them? But why didn't he think of it before? Of course, what Tianli didn't know was that it wasn't that he didn't think of it, but that he was hypnotized and didn't think in that direction at all. The hypnotist suppressed his thoughts. CEO Lang, you tricked me? Tianli roared. Director Liu, I thought you knew what was going on, Xiao Chun said calmly. CEO Liu, I thought you knew it yourself. Xiaochun said slowly. I don't do drugs, how would I know? Tianli raged. I don't take drugs, how would I know? Tianli raged. All the bosses I know smoke cigarettes, how would I know you don't? Xiaochun said. I saw that you didn't raise any doubts before, so I thought we had a tacit understanding. The purity of this cigarette is so high that people who have never smoked before will feel uncomfortable. I saw that Mr. Liu was enjoying it, so I didn't think too much about it. The company might even be on the verge of bankruptcy. Tianli didn't dare spread the news. Yes, Secretary Zhang didn't know what was going on, but he didn't dare to ask. He could only leave the office respectfully. After Secretary Zhang left, Tianli dialed CEO Lang's number again, but there was a cold voice on the other side. I'm sorry. The number you have dialed is either switched off or not within the service area. Please check and dial again later. Tianli was stunned. Lang, you're too much. Tianli was furious when he heard that Mr. Lang's phone was switched off. He wanted to smash his phone again, but he held himself back and dialed Mr. Lang's assistant, Cui Mianshir's number. But what drove Tianli crazy was that Cui Mianshir's phone rang with the same tone. His phone was turned off. Yes, Secretary Zhang. This time, Tianli truly believed it. Mr. Lang really wanted to leave. It wasn't fake. It was real. Mr. Liu. Secretary Zhang heard Tianli's call and quickly came back. He didn't know what he did to piss off Tianli. Was that a curse? Check 2 numbers for me immediately. See if you can locate the location of the most recent calls from these 2 numbers. With that, Tianli wrote down the 2 numbers on a piece of paper and passed it to Secretary Zhang. He didn't say who these 2 numbers belonged to or what the use was. It's best if you can find out the registered information of these 2 numbers as well, Tianli said. Secretary Zhang nodded. Yes, Secretary Zhang got the numbers and went to work. With Tianli's position in the company, it was a piece of cake for him to investigate these things. Secretary Zhang had a lot of acquaintances. Soon, Secretary Zhang reported the results of the investigation to Tianli. What shocked him was that these 2 numbers never left Yanjing at all. They didn't go to that small country at all, and other than calling him, they didn't talk to anyone else at all. This was basically impossible. Mr. Lang wasn't doing business with him alone. Besides, how could they have been in Yanjing all this time? This didn't make sense at all. At this time, even if Tianli trusted Mr. Lang blindly, he realized the problem. He seemed to have fallen into an elaborate trap. Mr. Lang had been lying to him from the start. What the hell is this? This name can be registered on a phone card? Tianli pointed at the list of phone numbers Secretary Zhang brought over. These people are called Wolf Motherfucker and Chui Motherfucker? Who would have names like that? Secretary Zhang was a bit speechless at these 2 names, but he didn't know why Tianli would be so fixated on these 2 names. He could only say weakly, there are all sorts of strange things in this world. What they call themselves is their freedom. Tianli's breathing became messy after realizing that he had been tricked. Chapter 2909. Tianli, on the other hand, picked up a cigarette, lit it up, and put it in his mouth, frowning. But after taking a puff, he suddenly realized that the cigarette he was smoking was the drug that Mr. Lang gave him. Tianli was scared as if he had been stung by a scorpion. He quickly threw the cigarette on the ground and put it out with his foot. "I'm dead. I'm dead." Tianli waved his hand as he continued thinking about the whole thing. Why did he suddenly do something stupid? Why did he believe Mr. Lang's words? Why did he smoke his cigarette? Not only did he smoke it, but he didn't notice anything wrong with it. Tianli couldn't think of a reason, no matter how much he thought about it. In the end, Tianli felt that he wanted House Lu to leave Lin Yi too much, and he wanted to find a way out for House Lu himself. That was indeed the case. If Tianli didn't have his own selfish desires, he would never work with Xiaochun on this cigarette business. It was his greed that allowed the hypnotist to take advantage of him. Businessmen were after profits, and it was understandable that Pengzhan got tricked. After all, Pengzhan Industries was a multifaceted group, and Pengzhan Industries was his own boss. Chu Pengzhan's greed was being exploited by the hypnotist. But Tianli couldn't get away with being tricked. House Lu's current business was fully supporting Lin Yi's Miracle Dr. Guan Medicine Company. This was also the foundation that Elder Jinhu and Lu Jinghan had set for House Lu's future. But Tianli always felt that if they relied on Lin Yi, wouldn't House Lu be done for if Lin Yi died one day? And so, because of his selfishness, Tianli was successfully hypnotized by the hypnotist. Otherwise, if a person had no selfish motives, no matter how powerful the hypnotist was, he wouldn't fall for it if he had a strong will. Tianli held his head, troubled, but he didn't know what to do. Now that something like this happened to the company, how was he going to tell his family? The most important thing was, how was he going to face Lin Yi? Lin Yi, would he kill him? Not only did he lose House Lu's company, but he also lost the distributor's money and the money he used to buy raw materials for Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company. Without this money, Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company would fall into a cash flow crisis. Tianli knew the severity of the situation, but the more serious it was, the more he didn't dare to confess. Fudash, Tianli picked up a cigarette and put it in his mouth. He was about to light it up when he suddenly remembered that it was drugs. But even knowing that it was drugs, Tianli still couldn't pull himself away. His hands were shaking, and he wanted to throw the cigarette away, but he didn't know if it was because of the addiction or because he couldn't resist the temptation of the cigarette, but he still lit it up with trembling hands. Now I have to think of a way. It's fine if I smoke. It won't be too late to quit smoking after I think of a way. Tianli thought to himself, however, he couldn't think of any way at all. When the cigarette entered his mouth, it brought him an indescribable sense of comfort and relief. It made him temporarily forget about his troubles, and this matter, Tianli felt like he was on cloud 9. At this moment, he felt that nothing else mattered except for the cigarette. Secretary Zhang took a long time this time. After all, investigating a company and investigating 2 phone numbers were 2 different things. But Secretary Zhang was still quite capable. After going through a few business associations, he still managed to find Mr. Lang's company. However, the company's information made Secretary Zhang frown. Of course, this wasn't something that Secretary Zhang could worry about. He went straight to Tianli's office after getting the information. Seeing the cigarette butts all over the floor, Secretary Zhang paused for a moment, but still said respectfully, "Mr. Liu, I've got the information. Please take a look. Put it over there." Tianli was smoking comfortably. He didn't care about anything else right now, and he wasn't in a rush to look at the information. Okay, Secretary Zhang didn't dare to say anything else. He put the information down and left after a long time. Tianli finally woke up from his addiction. He remembered about the information and quickly picked it up. But when he flipped to the first page, he froze. President Lang's company was registered in Bermuda. There was no extra relevant information. What could be found were the advertisements and encyclopedia introductions about this company on the search engine. However, these things could not be used as any basis at all. These things could be changed by anyone. Tianli threw the information aside and sighed bitterly. Indeed, since the other party had decided to lie to him, They wouldn't let him find any evidence against them. There was no way they would leave any real information for him to investigate.
Sigh.
Tianli lowered his head helplessly, his hands grabbing at his hair. He didn't know how to face this. He could only pick up another cigarette and start smoking. 2 disciples of the Dark Palace picked up 2 herbs from the corpses and successfully exchanged them for a chi-gathering pill at the award ceremony. Although the time needed to make it wasn't certain, this was the only way for the palace master of the Dark Palace to break through to Sky Class. If the palace master still couldn't accept the inheritance at Sky Class, then they would have to find another inheritor. The pressure on the Dark Palace would be huge. The return of the 2 disciples was praised by the highest elder. You 2 did a good job. You were able to pass such a dangerous Heavenly Elixir Sect trial. We will do our best for the Grand Elder. No matter how dangerous it is, we will try our best, the 2 disciples said flatteringly. But we only got 2 herbs. That's a bit regretful. Why didn't you guys get more? The Grand Elder asked. We had a lot of elixirs to begin with, but who knew that this Lin guy would come in and take all of it? The 2 disciples from the Dark Palace had been holding a grudge against Lin Yi since the beginning. If it weren't for Lin Yi, they would have gotten a lot of elixirs with Naipeo, much more than just these 2. But they never thought about what happened when they helped Naipeo scam Lin Yi's friends. Lin Yi is just a small freelancer, that bitch's dog. How could the Heavenly Elixir Sect help him? Plus, can Lin Yi go to the heavens? What a joke. The Grand Elder said in disdain. He'll just suffer a loss. He won't dare say it out loud. But didn't we give those 2 elixirs to the Heavenly Elixir Sect? Where's Lin Yi going to get them back? Elder Li smiled bitterly. Without those 2 elixirs, of course we'll have to get his elixirs back. Are we going to let him get away with it? The Grand Elder humphed coldly. He's just a small freelancer. He only dares to bully our disciples. Why wouldn't he dare to bully the Heavenly Elixir Sect's disciples? What the hell? But, with me, a Sky Class late phase peak, he'll wet his pants. This. Elder Li was in a difficult position. Wasn't this clearly making things difficult for him? Everything that happened in the trial was up to the heavens. He'd never heard of anyone seeking revenge after the trial. It was fine if there was a life and death feud, but to ask for the 2 elixirs back after taking them, wasn't this bullying? Are you going to do it or not? If not, I'll let someone else do it? The Grand Elder saw that Elder Li was hesitating and glared angrily. I'll do it, I'll arrange it right now. Elder Li had no choice but to bite the bullet and leave the Grand Elder's room. Then, he sneaked to where Wana was cultivating. How strong was the Grand Elder? She knew all of Elder Li's little tricks. She saw it too, but didn't stop him. It was better if Wana knew. This was the effect that the Grand Elder wanted. If you didn't break through to Sky Class and accept the inheritance, then your family would be bullied. Without pressure, how could you have motivation? The Dark Palace's position was in a precarious position. If the inheritor didn't appear, then the entire future plan would be ruined. That place might do something inhumane in a fit of rage, and the Grand Elder was under a lot of pressure as well. Now that there was the matter with Lin Yi, she could use this as a pretext to pressure Lin Yi a little, making Wan understand that if she didn't train, then her daughter wouldn't have a position. Elder Li told Wan about the order of the highest elder. Wan face was a bit pale. This was the mature version of the eldest Mississippi. She felt very conflicted at the moment. After an inheritor broke through, the possibility of accepting the inheritance was almost zero. Even if they broke through to Sky Class, it would be hard to understand the inheritance. Wana knew that the only way for her to reunite with Pingzhan and Mengyao was to accept the inheritance and become the inheritor. At that time, she would be the true palace master of the Dark Palace, and now, it was just a title. If she couldn't accept the inheritance, then everything would be over. So, this chi-gathering pill of the Dark Palace became the key to turning things around. If she succeeded, then everything would be fine, but if she failed, then it would be an eternal failure. The Grand Elder had no choice but to activate the Dark Phoenix Bloodline Guidance Stone to find another inheritor of the Dark Phoenix bloodline to accept the inheritance. Chapter 29:11. I understand. Elderly, please do as the Grand Elder says. Wan sighed. This wasn't something she could decide. Her decision to run away from the wedding all those years ago seemed childish and funny, but she didn't regret it. It was her choice. Pungjan was the love of her life. It was just that he and her daughter had suffered a lot. After all these years, he had become a very successful person in the common world, but in the ancient world, he was nothing in the eyes of the Grand Elder. Yes, Palace Master. Elderly sighed and said, if we do this, the people around Little Miss will definitely be baffled. Sigh. Wan pursed her lips and didn't say anything else. She couldn't change the reality in front of her. Luckily, she only wanted Lin to hand over the medicine and elixirs. She didn't cause any more trouble for him, so she was a little relieved. Ancient House Feng Tianhu didn't expect Feng Shipian to come back alive. But he was happy that Feng Shipian brought back the Great Huan Pill. Nitian could be saved. So, even if Feng Shipian wasn't dead, Feng Tianhu was still smiling. Shipian, you've worked hard. You're indeed the first heir of the ancient House Feng, passing such a difficult test. Not bad, not bad. Feng Shipian didn't look like a schemer, but he was actually very smart. There were some things that he didn't want to think too much about, and he didn't want to fight. Looking at his uncle's smile, Feng Shipian smiled and nodded. It's all thanks to the help of a benefactor. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to pass the test. Benefactor? Feng Tianlin came out at this time. He paused after hearing Feng Shipian's words. What benefactor? Father, I recognized a boss in the test. If it weren't for him, I wouldn't have passed the test so smoothly. Feng Shipian decided to tell his father about this. It was a blessing, not a curse, and if it was a curse, it couldn't be avoided. He had to say it sooner or later.
What?
Feng Tianlin heard Feng Shipian's words and frowned. Feng Shipian was his son, the future heir of the ancient House Feng. How could he call someone else boss? Wouldn't the ancient House Feng become someone else's lackey? Feng Shipian, what is the meaning of this? You are a member of the ancient Feng clan. How can you just casually acknowledge someone as your boss? Don't you know that by doing this, you're giving up the right to be the heir? Feng Tianhu didn't wait for Feng Tianlin to say anything else. He knew that Feng Shipian had brought back the Great Recover Pill, and that meant that Feng Nitian could be saved. He also had the intention to push Feng Nitian up again. Even if he couldn't, he still had a trump card. The most important thing now was to remove Feng Shipian's position as the heir. Therefore, as soon as he opened his mouth, he determined Feng Shipian's behavior. It seemed like he was blaming Feng Shipian for failing to live up to his expectations, but in reality, he was saying that Feng Shipian's behavior was no longer suitable for him to become the successor of the young patriarch. How could the successor of the young patriarch acknowledge someone else as his boss? If Feng Shipian became the young patriarch, wouldn't the ancient Feng family become someone else's lackey? Therefore, his words basically cut off Feng Shipian's path of retreat. Elder Feng was a shrewd man. How could he not know what Feng Tianhu meant? However, Feng Tianhu was right. If Feng Shipian acknowledged someone else as his boss, then he naturally wouldn't have the right to be the young patriarch anymore. Oh, poem, what you've done is indeed inappropriate. Elder Feng narrowed his eyes and said faintly, you are the successor of the young patriarch. Your every word and action represents the ancient Feng clan. Grandpa, the situation at that time didn't allow me to do otherwise. If I didn't acknowledge that person as my boss, then I wouldn't even be able to come back safely, let alone get the Great Recover Pill. Feng Shipian sighed. He knew that this would happen when he returned home, but he had no choice. Our ancient Feng family's reputation is the most important. Feng Tianhu said, disappointed that he had failed to meet his expectations. Shipian, the boss you acknowledged, which sect is he from? Feng Tianlin tried his best to change the topic. He wanted to know the identity of Feng Shipian's boss. If this boss was a direct disciple of a big sect or even the young patriarch, then it would make sense. The ancient Feng clan wasn't a top-notch existence in the ancient world, but a low-level existence. If they really acknowledged such a boss, it would still be beneficial for the ancient Feng clan. Feng Tianhu frowned. Of course, he knew what Feng Tianlin meant, but he couldn't stop Feng Shipian from saying it. He is called Lin Yi. He's a wandering cultivator. Although Feng Shipian knew that if he said Lin Yi's identity, it would only make Feng Tianhu use it as an excuse to attack him, he didn't want to lie. Lin Yi's identity as a wandering cultivator was something that could be investigated. There was no way to hide it. What? Wandering cultivator? Before Feng Tianhu could speak, Feng Tianlin exclaimed in shock. Shipian, what are you thinking? How can you acknowledge a wandering cultivator as your boss? Do you know how much of a negative impact this will have on the ancient Feng clan? Alright, second brother, let's not talk about Shipian anymore. He's young, and it's his first time going out to train. He doesn't know any better, let's not talk about him. Feng Tianhu waved his hand and pretended to be a good person. What's done can't be undone. The only way is to announce to the public that Feng Shipian is not the first in line to be the young patriarch. That way, there won't be any problems. Feng Tianlin's face was very ugly. He was very annoyed by Feng Shipian's reckless behavior. But after all, Feng Shipian was his son, and his personality was somewhat similar to Feng Shipian's. They were both kind people. At this time, he didn't know what to say. He could only say with hatred, Shipian, look at what you've done. Father, I don't think I've done anything wrong. If this matter affects the ancient Feng clan's reputation, I'm willing to take all the responsibility. Feng Shipian said stubbornly. At that time, I wanted to pass the trial and get the spiritual medicine to exchange for the recover pill for my brother. I had to do this. Moreover, it wasn't just me. Li Siba, a disciple of the Holy Fist Palace, also acknowledged Lin Yi as his boss. Then, Feng Tianhu just wanted to say something, but was interrupted by Old Master Feng. Chapter 29:12.
Yes.
There is also Gu Xian, a rogue cultivator from the ancient times, who also recognized Lin Yi as his boss. We also successfully completed the trial of the Heavenly Elixir sect because of the protection of boss Lin Yi. Feng Shipian nodded and said,
Tut.
Old Master Feng smacked his lips in surprise and fell into deep thought. The disciples of the Holy Fist Palace also recognized Lin Yi as their boss. Old Master Feng was very clear about what kind of sect the Holy Fist Palace was. The Holy Fist Palace was a model of external cultivation among the ancient sections. It was very powerful. Although it had been a little low-key in recent years, no one could deny the transcendent status of the Holy Fist Palace. Although the disciples of the Holy Fist Palace who participated in the trial of the Heavenly Elixir sect this time might not be the direct disciples, they must be the core disciples. The core disciples of the Holy Fist Palace were certainly not fools. This Lin Yi must be extraordinary. Moreover, Old Master Feng had also heard of the name of Gu Xian. Gu Xian was also a character in the ancient times. He was well informed, but he did not join any ancient sections. Such a character could recognize others as his boss. There must be something wrong with this. Feng Shipian, no matter what, this time you have done something that will damage the reputation of the family. During this period of time, you'll go to the reflection room and reflect on your mistakes. Don't participate in the other affairs of the family. Old Master Feng finally spoke, and he made the final decision. You participated in the trial this time and got the recover pill. Your merits and demerits offset each other. I will not punish you for anything else.
Yes. Thank you, Grandpa.
Feng Shipian did not expect things to be resolved so easily. In fact, reflecting on his mistakes was similar to cultivation. Otherwise, Feng Shipian often cultivated in seclusion. This punishment was basically equivalent to no punishment for cultivators. Originally, Feng Shipian thought that he would definitely be removed from the title of the first successor of the young master. But now it seemed that Grandpa did not think so. Feng Tianhu's face changed. He did not expect that Old Master Feng would settle the matter with just one sentence, but he had no choice and did not dare to say anything more. Tianhu, take the recover pill and give it to Heaven Defying. He is also the disciple with the most potential in our ancient Feng family. It would be great if he could recover. Old Master Feng didn't show any favoritism. He directly hinted to Feng Tianhu that if his son recovered, he would also have a chance to compete. Yes. Thank you, father. Tianhu was overjoyed. He didn't think that this pill would really fall into Nitian's hands. One had to know that he had hoped for it before, but he wasn't sure if he would give it to Nitian. After all, to the ancient house Feng Nitian was just a vegetable, useless. According to some of the cold-blooded noble houses, people like him would be abandoned. Even if they got the Great Recover pill back, they would keep it in their house for emergencies. They wouldn't give it to anyone easily. The hidden Zhao family was a living example. Old Master Zhao's actions were very cold-blooded and heartless. You can all leave now, do your own things. Old Master Feng finished and turned to leave. The current atmosphere of the ancient house Feng was not good, but Old Master Feng had no choice. Feng Shipian was too weak. If the ancient house Feng was strong, then there would be no problem. No one would be able to do anything to the ancient house Feng, but now the ancient house Feng was just a weak family. If Feng Shipian didn't have any means, then the ancient house Feng would be bullied to death in the future. However, Old Master Feng couldn't think of a good solution. Feng Tianlin and Feng Shipian had similar personalities, and Feng Tianhu and Feng Nitian had similar personalities, but these two personalities were extreme, and neither was suitable to be the head of the house. However, for now, they could only take one step at a time. Old Master Feng could only hope that one of them could change. Holy Fist Palace. Li Siba's return could be said to be an accident for the Holy Fist Palace. On the way, Li Siba and a fellow disciple met Zhang Naipeo. After being killed by Zhang Naipeo, Li Siba went to the Heavenly Elixir sect to participate in the trial. At that time, the disciple who was responsible for collecting the body of the Holy Fist Palace persuaded Li Siba to quit, but Li Siba still went to the Heavenly Elixir sect firmly. Some people thought that he was stubborn, but others thought that he was being impulsive. He and Zhang Naipeo had already become enemies. When he went to the Heavenly Elixir sect for the trial, it was hard to guarantee that Zhang Naipeo would not be resentful and attack Li Siba again, leaving him in the trial. Therefore, when Li Siba returned, the people of the sect were very surprised, especially his master, the unparalleled Fist Master. The Holy Fist Palace and the Everyday sect had always been enemies. The unparalleled Fist Master was currently the head of the Holy Fist Palace. Although Li Siba was not his last disciple, he was also one of the disciples he was more optimistic about. Previously, he heard that the disciple of the great elder of the Holy Fist Palace was killed, but his disciple still went to the trial. He was very worried. Although Li Siba's spirit was commendable, it was a bit impulsive to go knowing that it was extremely dangerous. Siba, did you pass the trial? The unparalleled Fist Master asked in surprise. Yes, Master. I've passed the trial and successfully exchanged for a Great Recover pill. After saying that, Li Siba carefully took out the Recover pill from his pocket and presented it to the unparalleled Fist Master.
Ah!
The unparalleled Fist Master was really shocked this time. He was very surprised that Li Siba could come back alive, but he actually brought back a third-grade Recover pill. It was a bit unbelievable. During the trial, did Zhang Naipeo make things difficult for you? The unparalleled Fist Master hated Zhang Naipeo's guts, not only because he killed a core disciple of the Holy Fist Palace, but also because he was a disciple of the Everyday sect. The Holy Fist Palace hated the disciples of the Everyday sect the most. Yes, but your disciple found a boss in the test, and under his protection, not only did I break Naipeo's spirit and avenge my fellow disciples, but he also helped me pass the test and get the third-level Great Recovery pill. Li Siba said truthfully. Oh, you recognized a boss and broke Zhang Naipeo's spirit? What happened? The unparalleled Fist Master was a little annoyed that Li Siba recognized a boss. The disciples of the Holy Fist Palace were all outstanding existences. How could they casually recognize a boss? However, when he heard that Zhang Naipeo's spirit was broken, he became interested. Seeing the disciples of the everyday and everyday sect in bad luck, the unparalleled Fist Master was the happiest. Chapter 29:13. This was not a secret, and everyone who participated in the trial knew about it, so Siba didn't need to keep it a secret. What? This Lin Yi is just a casual practitioner. How can he be so powerful? Mo Ba and Mo Jiao are both dead? Zhang Naipeo wouldn't dare to do anything to him? And he actually defeated Zhang Naipeo? Peerless Fist Master's eyes widened in disbelief. He was wondering who this Lin Yi was. How could he be so powerful that even the everyday and everyday sect didn't dare to do anything to him? Especially since this was not the first time Lin Yi had defeated Zhang Naipeo. In the Ice Palace trial, Zhang Naipeo had already suffered a loss, and Lin Yi was still alive and well. This was the most unbelievable thing to Peerless Fist Master. Yes. Siba nodded. In fact, I was also very curious before, but after interacting with Boss Lin Yi for a long time, I realized that the strength of a practitioner is actually not related to the level. Boss Lin Yi is an Earth-class master, but he can kill a middle-stage Heaven-class master in seconds. Lin Yi. I've never heard of him before. The unparalleled fighter tried his best to remember this name, but realized that he didn't have this name in his memories. This person had appeared out of nowhere. Of course, the Holy Fist Palace had never paid attention to Lin Yi before, so it was normal that they had never heard of Lin Yi's name. In fact, I also suspected his background. Siba smiled bitterly and said, but I heard from his other follower that there are hidden families and ordinary families among Boss Lin Yi's followers. This shows that Boss Lin Yi should be walking on the road of the strong step by step. At least, there are only 3 followers at the ancient level, me, Feng Shipian, and Guxian. There was no one before. You have a good analysis. Peerless Fist Master nodded and said in agreement. So, this Lin Yi is even more extraordinary. He has no background. How can he walk on the road of the strong step by step? Why don't I believe it? Siba hesitated for a moment and said, but it seems like that's the case. From the looks of it, some things can't be judged on the surface. What do you think, Pugilist Wu? The unparalleled Fist turned his head and looked at the great elder of the sect, the unparalleled Fist. He was also a peak late-stage physical expert, but he was a bit weaker than the unparalleled Fist. The unparalleled Fist had already reached perfection and was only a step away from the heaven rank. Sect leader, I don't think so. This Lin Yi is either a cultivation genius that only appears once in 10,000 years, or he has an extremely powerful background that none of us know about. Otherwise, this doesn't make sense at all. Lawless Fist said after some thought. An extremely powerful background that no one knows about? Can other people find out? How could the everyday and everyday sect not know? The Matchless Fist Master frowned. The everyday and everyday sect. I don't know if they know or not, but since they're afraid of Lin Yi, they should know something, right? The unparalleled Fist said after some thought. No. Logically speaking, this Lin Yi was already very strong in the Ice Palace's test. If he had a background, then Zhang Naipeo wouldn't be targeting him in the Sky Elixir Sex test, trying to kill him. The unparalleled Fist said with a wave of his hand. If Lin Yi really had a powerful background, would Zhang Naipeo still dare to do that? But, sect leader, even if the everyday and everyday sect doesn't know about it, it doesn't mean that Lin Yi doesn't have a powerful background. Could it be that you've forgotten about the 2 heavenly masters who swept through the ancient sects 10 years ago? Wasn't the invincible sect master taken away by them back then? The Lawless Fist shook his head again. Those 2 people appeared out of thin air, and then disappeared. Before that, who knew about their existence? Logically speaking, they are all the physical cultivators, and they are even beyond the extreme of our knowledge. But our Holy Fist Palace didn't know that there were 2 such powerful physical masters. That's true. The unparalleled Fist Master hesitated and fell into deep thought. After a while, he turned to Siba and said, Siba, you did a good job this time. Don't break the relationship between you and Lin Yi. Keep in touch with him, but you have to remember that you represent yourself, not our Holy Fist Palace. Before you know that person's real background, or that person hasn't shown enough strength to look down on the ancient level, you can't use the name of Holy Fist Palace to associate with him. Yes, Master, I understand. Li Siba was overjoyed. Although he had thought that the matter of him recognizing Lin Yi as his boss would not be opposed by the people in the sect, he did not expect that it would be so smooth and that the unparalleled Fistmaster would agree so much. Of course, Li Siba would not think much about the addition of the unparalleled Fistmaster. After all, the Holy Fist Palace was the top existence among the ancient sections. If they recognized a rogue cultivator as their boss in the name of the sect, the impact would be too great. And the Holy Fist Palace had given Li Siba the maximum freedom to associate with Lin Yi in his own name. It's a pity that your junior brother was killed by Zhang Naipeo, but Mo Ba and Mo Jiu are finished. They've been avenged. The unparalleled Fist Master sighed and said, also, you can keep this recover pill for yourself. It's what you deserve. You don't have to hand it over to the sect.
How can I do that?
Li Siba was stunned and a little overwhelmed. Also, you can come to my place to practice tomorrow. From now on, you will be one of my last disciples, and you will be treated the same as the other last disciples. The unparalleled Fist Master was a man who knew how to adapt to circumstances. He also saw that Lin Yi was unusual, so he began to prepare to train Li Siba. Thank you, Master. Li Siba was surprised and happy, and quickly knelt on the ground. He never dreamed that after recognizing Lin Yi as his boss, it would bring him so many great benefits. And the unparalleled Fist Master did not oppose it. Instead, he was very supportive of the unparalleled Fist Master's decision. He smiled and said, when you have time to see Lin Yi, thank him for avenging my disciple. I can't come forward to take revenge. If it was any other time, I could only pinch my nose and accept it. But this time, I can vent my anger. Yes, Grand Elder, your disciple will convey your message. Li Siba quickly replied. Chapter 29:14. Chunyang, what happened to Pao? How come he's like this? Didn't he successfully pass the trial and obtain a marrow and bone cleansing pill for me? Isn't that a good thing? Pinliang looked at Chunyang curiously. Do you know why? I'm not sure. I'll go ask later and report to you, Master. What do you think? Chunyang shook his head.
All right.
Pinliang nodded. Part of the soul in his body belonged to the Mad Dragon Master, but his care for Naipeo came from the bottom of his heart. He'd always treated Naipeo as his right-hand man. Chunyang knew this as well. He knew that Naipeo had an unusual position in the sect, and so he didn't dare tarry. He went straight to Naipeo's training area. Naipeo. Chunyang walked into Naipeo's room, and Naipeo was still sitting there, dumbfounded. He didn't even notice Chunyang's arrival. Logically speaking, Naipeo was a sky class, and his senses were quite strong. Not noticing Chunyang's arrival could only mean that his mind was elsewhere. It's Master. Naipeo came back to his senses after being called. He raised his head and looked at Chunyang. Master, why are you looking for your disciple? Naipeo, did something happen in the test this time? Puryong looked at Naipeo and asked. Master? Naipeo hesitated, but decided to speak the truth. Yes, Master. This test was a huge blow to your disciple. Oh, what happened? You clearly passed the trial and even obtained the trial spirit medicine to exchange for the marrow and bone washing pill for Master Wild Dragon. These are all good things. Why did you suffer such a huge blow? Heavenly Venerable Pure Yang was baffled when he heard that. He did not understand what was going on. Master, don't praise your disciple. If it weren't for Lin Yi, I'd be dead by now. You can't see your disciple right now. I'm already in the 5 Evils Barrens. Naipeo smiled bitterly. What do you mean? You're saying Lin Yi saved you? Chunyang was a little surprised. Weren't Lin Yi and Naipeo enemies? How was Lin Yi able to save Naipeo? What the hell was going on? Did the two make up? That shouldn't be. That's right. But your disciple almost died because of Lin Yi as well. You could say that Lin Yi's success and Lin Yi's failure. Naipeo nodded. What do you mean now? Lin Yi defeated you, and even saved you? Pure Yang Empyrean found it increasingly inconceivable. Master, it's actually like this. Naipeo told him everything that had happened in the Five Fiends Barrens to the Pure Yang Master in detail, including the part where Lin Yi killed his right-hand man. It was only now that Chunyang realized that Mo Ba was killed by Lin Yi, and Mo Jiu was beaten into a vegetative state by Lin Yi. These two weren't attacked by spirit beasts in the Five Evils Barrens. The culprit was actually Lin Yi. But Chunyang was shocked. Lin Yi was an Earth-class late-phase, and he was able to kill Mo Ba and Mo Jiu, two Sky-class mid-phase masters, and with an instant kill. That was fine, but Naipeo's Dark Demon Fist, and Lin Yi was able to come up with a Hellfire Fist? What the hell was this? How did it come out? Naipeo was the disciple of the Chrysanthemum Arts, Master Chiyu, and he couldn't even beat a random practitioner like Lin Yi? This didn't make sense, did it? But the truth was right there in front of him, and the soulless look on Naipeo's face didn't look like he was lying. The only explanation was that Lin Yi was too strong, and no one else was a match for him. Lin Yi, he's already this strong? Chunyang frowned, not relaxing for a long time. So, if our everyday sect wants to touch him, we'll need a master of my level? Not really. If it weren't for Lin Yi's mid-tier golden cicada underwear, he wouldn't have been able to hurt me so easily. Naipeo smiled bitterly. Anyway, it's a freak accident. Chunyang patted Naipeo's shoulder and stood up. These things are the demons in your heart. Your training is stuck on this, and once you break through it, you'll be able to move forward. What do you mean? Naipeo paused. Chunyang shook his head and didn't say anything else. He turned and left his room. Naipeo fell into deep thought in his room. Chunyang, on the other hand, went straight to Pinliang's place. Master Mad Dragon, I've understood Zhang Naipeo's journey in the test. This is what happened. Heavenly Venerate Pure Yang told Zhang Pinliang everything he knew.
Oh.
So, Pao suffered a blow in the test and couldn't get back up? Zhang Pinliang frowned after hearing Pure Yang's words. How did Lin Yi become so powerful? That's right, Naipeo did suffer a blow. However, this is actually a good thing. Heavenly Venerate Pure Yang said. Good thing? What do you mean? Pinliang paused, and then a look of understanding appeared on his face. The second stage of the Chrysanthemum Arts, full mastery. Before breaking through to the third stage, one has to experience the demons in their heart. Without that, one won't be able to break through. That's right, it seems like Master has thought of it too. Chunyang nodded. Pinliang had the memories of the Mad Dragon Master, but because of the short period of time, he still couldn't fully integrate it. Sometimes, there would be pauses. It seems like Lin Yi did us a big favor again. Pinliang smiled. But if Pao can't successfully walk out of the demons in his heart and pull himself together, won't he be stuck in this situation for the rest of his life? Master, there's no other way. You know that to practice the Chrysanthemum Arts, one has to go through this. Chunyang shrugged helplessly. If the Chrysanthemum Arts were so easy to practice, would our everyday sect be suppressed by the Five-Element sect? That's true. I hope Pao can successfully break through. Pinliang nodded. Hakunamata Mountains, Fiery Mountain Sect. Chapter 29:15. Old Head, you have to help me think of a way. Yang Shuaizhen is my most outstanding grandson, which is equivalent to your grandnephew. He died just like that, and he died so miserably. Yang Dingtian said in a sorrowful tone. Ahem, Dingtian, I understand how you feel, but life and death in a trial is determined by fate. Yang Shuaizhen went to participate in the trial and didn't come back. It can only be said that he was unlucky, and we can't do anything about it. Dingtian, I'm sorry for your loss. Bazooka comforted helplessly. Old Head, you don't know this, but I just got the news. Our Shuaizhen wasn't killed by a spirit beast in the trial, but by Zhang Naipeo of the Everyday sect. Yang Dingtian said sadly.
What?
Zhang Naipeo of the Everyday and Everyday sect killed him? Bazooka's face changed. If Yang Shuaizhen had died a violent death, then Fire Mountain could only blame it on their bad luck. But being killed by someone else was a different story. This wasn't just a matter of hatred, it was also a matter of face for Fire Mountain. Are you sure? Yes. Old head. Yang Dingtian nodded. That grandson of mine found a relatively safe place in the sky elixir sex test, and he was just about to rest in there when Zhang Naipeo, a disciple of the Everyday and Everyday sect, who was also resting there, suddenly attacked him. Not only did he not allow my grandson to rest, he even tried to steal his medicine, and when my grandson didn't give it to him, he attacked and killed my grandson. Although Yang Dingtian was exaggerating, the truth wasn't far from the truth. This Zhang Naipeo is too arrogant, Bazooka said in a low voice. Does he think that our Fire Mountain is easy to bully? Old head, this isn't a problem of being easy to bully. The Everyday and Everyday sect is not someone we can mess with. Yang Dingtian said with red eyes. If he could mess with them, he wouldn't need to ask the fire leader for help. He would have gone to the Everyday and Everyday sect himself for revenge. Where did you get this news from? Is it accurate? Bazooka also had a bit of a headache. Indeed, the Everyday and Everyday sect was the same as the Five Elements sect, a sect that came down from the immemorial level. As the saying goes, a starving camel is still bigger than a horse. Although these two sects were no longer Taiga sects, they were still stronger than other ancient sects, right? This is the information that young Master Burning Cloud found out. It shouldn't be fake, Yang Dingtian said.
Oh.
Did Fire Cloud find out about it? Rocket Launcher was stunned for a moment before he said, Ask Burning Cloud to come here immediately and tell me everything in detail. Yes. Yang Dingtian responded and walked to the door. He gave a few instructions to a disciple on duty, and the disciple quickly left. Not long after, a dark-skinned young man walked into the room respectfully. His eyes were red, as if he had just been crying. Hua Xiaoyan greets grandfather and great elder. Burning Cloud, what's going on? Rocket Launcher asked. Grandfather, Shuaizhen Bro was indeed killed by Zhang Naipeo from the Everyday and Everyday sect. Yang Shuaizhen and Hua Xiaoyan grew up together, trained together, and the sect had purposely raised Yang Shuaizhen to be Hua Xiaoyan's right-hand man, to take over the position of Great Elder. Hence, the two of them were very close. They weren't blood brothers, but they were closer than blood brothers. Now that the news of Yang Shuaizhen's death came, Hua Xiaoyan was extremely sad and hated Zhang Naipeo to the bone. This time, Hua Xiaoyan's story was more detailed, and there were some differences from what Yang Dingtian said. Although Yang Shuaizhen was a bit arrogant, it was Zhang Naipeo who provoked him first, and Hua Xiaoyan didn't side with Yang Shuaizhen. He was only telling the truth. It seems like we are also to blame. Yang Shuaizhen was too impulsive. Rocket Launcher couldn't help but sigh after hearing this. Old Master, who hasn't been impulsive in their youth? Back then, when you and I were young, didn't we also think that we were number one in the world? Yang Dingtian said sadly. That's true, sigh. But if this Zhang Naipeo was a disciple of another ancient sect, then we could still question him. But this Everyday and Everyday sect. Although Rocket Launcher didn't continue, what he meant was that they couldn't afford to mess with them. Yang Dingtian was silent as well. Indeed, the Everyday and Everyday sect wasn't something they could mess with. If the two sects were to really clash, the one who would suffer in the end would be Fiery Mountain. Grandpa, Grand Elder, I have an idea. Hua Xiaoyan saw that the two were silent and hesitated. Oh, what idea? Rocket Launcher raised his head and looked at Hua Xiaoyan. The Everyday and Everyday sect and Zhang Naipeo are domineering, but it's not like no one can stop them. Hua Xiaoyan had wanted to say this a long time ago, but saying it out would weaken Fiery Mountain's momentum. What do you mean? You mean the Five Elements sect? Rocket Launcher paused. Of course not. It's impossible for the people of the Five Elements sect to form an alliance with our Fiery Mountain sect. We're just a pawn in their plan. Although we're just using each other, their high and mighty existences. So how could they care about our matters? Hua Xiaoyan shook his head. Plus, the everyday and everyday sect is also an important part of that plan. Then you mean? Rocket Launcher looked at Hua Xiaoyan curiously. In this trial, there was a wandering practitioner named Lin Yi. Hua Xiaoyan changed the topic and told Rocket Launcher and Yang Dingtian about Lin Yi's actions in the trial. After that, Rocket Launcher and Yang Dingtian fell into shock. After a while, Rocket Launcher said, "You mean Lin Yi killed Mo Ba and Mo Jiao, and nothing happened?" Not only did Zhang Naipeo not do anything to him, but the everyday and everyday sect didn't do anything to him either? That's right. Of course, that's not all. After I noticed this Lin Yi wandering practitioner, I did some research and found out some other things. Hua Xiaoyan continued, in the Ice Palace trial, Lin Yi crippled Zhang Naipeo, but the everyday and everyday sect didn't do anything to him. So, there must be something wrong with this Lin Yi. Bazooka's face showed a pondering look. You mean, we can work with Lin Yi and ask for his help to teach the everyday and everyday sect a lesson, Hua Xiaoyan said. Chapter 29:16. Plus, Lin Yi didn't kill Naipeo this time, so it was obvious that he didn't want to kill Naipeo. Otherwise, why would he walk out of the Five Fiends wildlands with the crazed Naipeo and the Naipeo who was fine after that? Because Lin Yi is the boss of my sworn brother. Hua Mingyun said, Your sworn brother? You mean Tu Bawang? Rocket Launcher heard Hua Mingyun's words and immediately knew who his sworn brother was, but he was surprised. Lin Yi is Tu Bawang's boss? What happened? Tu Bawang also participated in the Sky Elixir Sect's trial this time, but before he could enter the Five Evils wildlands, he was attacked by Naipeo and became a vegetable. As he spoke, Hua Mingyun told Rocket Launcher and Yang Dingtian about Tu Bawang's experience in the Sky Elixir Sect. Fiery Mountain and Yellow Earth High Sect were both in the west, and the two sects had a good relationship. Hua Mingyun and Tu Bawang were sworn brothers, and the reason why Hua Mingyun had so much information about the trial was also because of Tu Bawang. Although Tu Bawang didn't participate in the trial, he had already found out about everything that happened in the inn after the trial. Tu Bawang didn't say much about how strong Lin Yi was, but what he could say was enough to prove how strong Lin Yi was. From Hua Mingyun's point of view, Tu Bawang wouldn't lie to him, and Tu Bawang was a very proud person, similar to Yang Shuizhen. If Lin Yi wasn't strong, why would he call Lin Yi his boss? This way, Fiery Mountain's revenge plan would fall on Lin Yi. Young master, as you said, if Lin Yi is really so strong, then our Fiery Mountain should indeed have a good relationship with him. I know Tu Bawang's personality. If Lin Yi wasn't capable, he wouldn't have submitted. Yang Dingtian said, That's true, but even if we have a relationship with a local tyrant, why would we ask Lin Yi for help? Can Lin Yi help us? Rocket Launcher shook his head. According to Burning Cloud, this Lin Yi is a master. It was very difficult for a local tyrant to recognize him as his boss. In the end, because of his relationship with Ran, Lin Yi reluctantly agreed. If we suddenly appear to look for him, will he even care about us? This sigh. Fuming Cloud also felt that Lin Yi was difficult to approach. If he were to look for Lin Yi rashly, Lin Yi might just ignore him. He immediately felt a little discouraged. Young head, Shui Zhen is your loyal subordinate. You can't let him die in vain. When Yang Dingtian saw that Hua Hanyun was discouraged, he immediately became anxious. If Yang Shuizhen died, he wouldn't be able to take it lying down. Dingtian, don't worry. Even without Shuizhen, this Lin Yi is so powerful that even the Yellow Earth High Sect's Tu Bawang recognized him as his boss. Our Fiery Mountain naturally won't be outdone, Rocket Launcher said. But this matter needs to be considered. We want to rope in Lin Yi, but it's not as simple as that. We have to pay attention to some methods, right? Although Fiery Mountain and Yellow Earth High Sect had a good relationship, and Fuming Cloud and Tu Bawang were good brothers, the more it was like this, the more the two sects would compete with each other. It was like how people usually liked to compare themselves with the people around them, but not many people would compare themselves with strangers who were far away from them. Yeah, Grand Elder, Regarding Yang Shuaisian's matter, I will definitely go to the everyday sect to demand an explanation. Fuming Cloud nodded. Yang Dingtian didn't really want Zhang Naipeo to pay with his life, but mainly because he couldn't stand the arrogance of the everyday sect. It wasn't the first time that the everyday sect had bullied other ancient sects. Yang Dingtian didn't only have one grandchild. He had two, and with one dead, there was still one left. It was just that this one wasn't as strong as the other, so Yang Dingtian felt that Yang Shuaisian's death was a very unfortunate thing. Lin Yi sent Qikuan to the door of the hidden house, but he didn't go in. Qikuan's face was very conflicted. He had come back to the place he grew up in, but he didn't feel any sense of belonging at all. Boss, I really don't want to go back to this house. I don't even know how I'll face them when I go back. Qikuan sighed as he got off the car unwillingly. I don't know why your grandpa is so stubborn. If I were him, I'd let you be the head of the house. There's no one more suitable than you. Lin Yi shook his head. He really couldn't understand the situation of the Zhaos. Even if Qibing had gotten a qi-gathering pill and gave it to old Zhao, allowing him to become a sky class, Qikuan had also gotten a Dan back this time. Whatever, no matter what, I have to go back. Where else would I go? Qikuan shook his head and walked towards the door. Qikuan's return didn't cause much of a commotion. In fact, no one even bothered with him. Qikuan just walked into the house and back to his room. On the way, he didn't meet anyone from the Zhaos. The servants and disciples all ignored him as well, as if he didn't exist. He shook his head with a bitter smile. He had expected this, so he wasn't angry at all. He stopped a disciple at the door and asked, Where are these people? Where's my grandpa? Young Master Tan, the head of the Zhao family, and Master Bang are both out, and the head of the house is busy as well. There's no one in the house right now, so we don't know how to deal with you when you're back. Young Master Tan, please don't make it hard for us. The disciple said worriedly. Qikuan paused, realizing that there was no one in charge in the house anymore. But it wasn't the fault of the servants. He had been under house arrest all this time, and the disciples knew that. They didn't know how to treat him. If they treated him warmly, and if old Zhao didn't like it when he came back, they'd be the ones in trouble. If they locked him up like before, what if old Zhao didn't want to be locked up anymore? Then they'd be the ones in trouble, and so they might as well just ignore Qikuan. That way, nothing would go wrong. Chapter 29:17. Thank you, Master Tan. The disciple thanked him profusely and left, leaving Qikuan pacing back and forth in the room, waiting for old Zhao and the others to come back. The reason why old Zhao wasn't home was because he had an appointment with a few important people today, and he was having a secret meeting in House Yu's meeting room. Ever since Qikuan was taken away by Lin Yi, old Zhao had been restless. If Lin Yi dared to kill him, then he could only watch. With such a dangerous hidden danger, old Master Zhao definitely couldn't let him wander around in front of his eyes. When the news of Qikuan passing the test came back, old Zhao felt like it was the end of the world. Qikuan was home, and with Lin Yi behind him, what was he going to do? If Lin Yi wanted Qikuan to be the head of the house, forcing him to step down, forcing Qibing to give up, what was he going to do? And so, Elder Zhao finally couldn't hold it in any longer. He sent invitations to the hidden houses and sects that had a grudge against Lin Yi to discuss how to get rid of Lin Yi. Old Zhao invited the Hidden House Yu, Qianshan sect, Jinzhong sect, and the Firewolves. These were all houses and sects that hated Lin Yi, but the Hidden House Yu didn't come. Old Zhao knew that the Hidden House Yu wouldn't come, but he didn't think much of it. He just thought that House Yu and House Zhao were at odds because of Qibing and Yuning, so they didn't want to participate in the secret meeting. In fact, when old Yu saw the words "Fight Lin Yi together" on the invitation, he threw it away. He didn't want to inform Lin Yi, but he had no interest in participating. Unknowingly, Elder Yu had already started to adjust the Hidden House Yu's future plans, especially after Yuning's incident. Elder Yu's attitude towards Lin Yi had changed a little. Of course, old Zhao didn't know about this. In the meeting room, other than old Zhao, There was Old Yu of the Hidden House Yu, Qianshan Sect's Master Wa, Jinzhong Sect's Master Jin, and Firewolves in Mingyue. The reason why the meeting was held at House Yu was because the last Hidden House meeting was held at House Zhao, so this time it was a different place. Qianshan Sect and Jinzhong Sect were both in the mountains, and it wasn't easy to get in. And in Mingyue of the Firewolves was only the person in charge of Donghai City, and she didn't have a headquarters. So the Hidden House was the best place for the meeting. Both the Qianshan Sect and the Golden Clock Sect hated Lin Yi to the bone, and they couldn't wait to kill Lin Yi for revenge. Whether it was the Wa Sect's master or the Jin Sect's master, all of their important figures had died in Lin Yi's hands, especially the Qianshan Sect's spirit beast. The Firewolves, on the other hand, wanted to kill Lin Yi, so Mingyue came here without hesitation. As for the Hidden House Yu, they wanted Zhang Liju's notes. If Lin Yi died, then Han Jingjing would be easy to deal with. As long as Right Coiling Tiger could get Han Jingjing, everything would be solved. The problem was that if Lin Yi didn't die, Han Jingjing wouldn't accept Right Coiling Tiger. So, these people could be said to be working together. Old Zhao, you're the one who started the meeting to kill Lin Yi. Tell us, do you have a way to deal with Lin Yi? Master Wa asked impatiently. If he had the strength, he would have killed Lin Yi a long time ago. If I had a way, I wouldn't have gathered everyone here. Elder Zhao sighed with a bitter smile. The main reason I'm here is to get everyone to brainstorm and see if there's any way we can get rid of Lin Yi. As everyone knows, Lin Yi's strength is getting stronger and stronger. If we don't do it now, then we won't have another chance in the future. Back then, during the Hidden House Summit, it was a golden opportunity, but we missed it. Old Zhao, if you didn't fight with House Yu's Old Yu, our plan would have succeeded. We can't blame anyone else for this. Old Yu interrupted faintly. Forget it, let's not talk about this. Old Yu, do you have a good idea? Old Master Zhao narrowed his eyes and looked at Old Master Yu, who interrupted. Since Old Master Yu is so anxious, you must have a well-thought-out plan. Don't talk about useless things. I'm a Sky class, but I'm only a refiner. In terms of fighting, I'm not even an Earth class. What can I do? Old Yu humphed coldly. Okay, stop arguing. We're here to discuss important matters, not to argue. Let's talk one by one. Gate Master Jin waved his hand and stopped the two from arguing. Our Golden Bell Gate is declining day by day, and this is all thanks to Lin Yi. There's nothing else we can offer. Everyone knew that Gate Master Jin was telling the truth. Jin Wudi was dead, and so were a few of the best disciples of Golden Bell Gate. Golden Bell Gate was just an empty shell, and they couldn't rely on him. If Lin Yi has a spirit beast, I can control it for a short period of time, so that it won't attack us. Our Qianshan Gate has a secret technique that can make a spirit beast lose its strength in a short period of time. Gate Master was said. That's right. Gate Master was idea is very useful. Lin Yi has a spirit beast by his side, and we have to be on guard. Old Zhao nodded in agreement. Mr. N, do you have any suggestions? I think that Gate Master was suggestion reminds me. Can we poison Lin Yi? As far as I know, if we want to fight with Lin Yi head-on, all of us together are no match for Lin Yi. And Mingyue said, we're just going to die if we go. If we can poison Lin Yi and win with our wits, that's the way of the king. That makes sense. Old Zhao nodded in agreement. We are indeed no match for Lin Yi, but poison. I heard that Lin Yi is also a medical expert. Our king pharmacist is no match for him. What's your king pharmacist? Old Yu said with some disdain, your king pharmacist is nothing in the eyes of our Hidden Yu family. Chapter 29:18. Lin Yi can cure normal poisons, but what about special ones? After I go back, I can contact the Sky Elixir sect and use some special poisons to poison Lin Yi. No matter how good Lin Yi is, it'll be useless. Old Yu said confidently. Oh, that's great. Old Zhao heard this and didn't feel unhappy at all. He said happily, then I'll leave this to you, Old Yu. Don't be happy too early. Old Yu waved his hand. It's not hard to get the poison, but how do you make Lin Yi eat it? Old Zhao realized that this was indeed a difficult problem because he didn't have a chance. It was fine during the Hidden House Summit, but now, he had to invite Lin Yi for a meal? It would be weird if Lin Yi didn't have his guard up. I'll leave this to you, Old Zhao. I'll think of something about the poison and you guys think of something else, Old Yu said. What kind of excuse do we use to invite Lin Yi for Lin Yi to come? Old Zhao started thinking about how to poison Lin Yi. Right, I say, Old Zhao. That Zhao Qikuan from your house, isn't he Lin Yi's follower? If he invites Lin Yi, he should come, right? And Mingyue spoke up. This old bastard was as mean as Zhang Wen, always doing immoral things. One of them was the same as the other. That's true, but Zhao Qikuan is on Lin Yi's side. If I ask him to harm Lin Yi, he won't agree for sure. He might even leak the secret. Old Zhao shook his head. I say, Old Zhao, can't you be flexible? You can find an excuse and trick that Zhao Qikuan into inviting Lin Yi for a meal, right? And Mingyue suggested. Oh. After Lord Zhao heard in Mingyue's words, his eyes immediately lit up, and he said, You really woke me up with a single word. This time, Zhao Qikuan passed the test smoothly, and I can hint to him that my thoughts have changed. I'm interested in making him the head of the house, and have him invite Lin Yi over to discuss this in detail. What do you guys think? Good idea. This way, Zhao Qikuan won't suspect anything. You've invited Lin Yi for a reason as well. Zhao Qikuan won't suspect anything, and Lin Yi won't suspect anything either. When the time comes, we'll just have to figure out how to drug it. What clapped? Haha, in that case, I'll go talk to Zhao Qikuan when I get back. Elder Zhao sighed in relief after deciding on the plan. Then let's end the meeting here. We'll do our own research, and when the time comes, we'll give Lin Yi a fatal blow. After everyone left, Old Man Yu went to contact the Heavenly Elixir Sect. He was very enthusiastic about killing Lin Yi. If Lin Yi was dead, Han Jingjing's matter would be easy to handle. The Yu family had always had this idea. After so many years of working behind the Heavenly Elixir Sect, they had long wanted to enter the ancient level. Of course, the Yu family's current strength was not enough. There were too few heaven rank experts. If House Yu's alchemy skills improved by leaps and bounds, then who could stop them from reaching the ancient level? However, it was impossible to rely on Sky Elixir Sect's help. Not to mention that Sky Elixir Sect wouldn't impart their alchemy skills without reservation. Even if House Yu learned these skills, they weren't willing to see House Yu grow and become an existence on equal footing with Sky Elixir Sect. Therefore, if House Yu wanted to advance, they could only accumulate their own strength and think of their own ways. The alchemist's notes in Lin Yi's hands was the best opportunity. If they got it, although House Yu's strength wouldn't increase much in recent years, as time went by, House Yu would become stronger and stronger. Therefore, in order to prevent Sky Elixir Sect from being afraid, Old Yu didn't directly contact Sky Silkworm Transformation. Instead, he contacted Sky Elixir Sect's 8th Elder, Kong Ming. Old Yu also knew that Kong Ming and Lin Yi had a grudge. At this moment, Sky Elixir Sect's trial had just ended. Kong Ming was discussing alchemy matters in Ancestor Xuanshen's room. Master, currently, the Sky Elixir Sect's futures pills are only the Qi-gathering pill that we promised to give to Lin Yi, the Qi-gathering pill that Dark Knight Palace wants in this trial, and the bone-cleansing pill that Everyday Sect wants. Kong Ming said, What's the order of refining these pills? Also, who's going to refine them? Only you can refine the bone-cleansing pill. No one else can refine it. However, we have to give Lin Yi an extreme Qi-gathering pill to pretend to be a Qi-gathering pill. This is a secret, and only the two of us know about it. Therefore, only you can refine this pill. As for the Qi-gathering pill, I can let Xianzhen or the other elders of Sky Elixir Sect refine it. Ancestor Xianzhen said after some thought. Then, of the two pills in my hands, which one should I refine first? Kong Ming nodded and asked, The two pills you have and the one from Everyday Sect have nothing to do with our future plans. We're just giving them face. You should refine Lin Yi's extreme Qi-gathering pill first. Cripple Lin Yi first. This kid is always loitering in front of me. I feel uneasy. Ancestor Xianchen said. Yes, Master. Kong Mingming was overjoyed. He actually wanted to deal with Lin Yi, but he didn't have the right to make a decision on such a big matter. He could only wait for Ancestor Xuanchen's instructions. Kong Mingming had just finished speaking when his phone rang. He was shocked. He took out his phone and was about to hang up when he hurriedly explained, Master, I was in a hurry and forgot to turn off my phone. Who called? Ancestor Xianchen waved his hand and asked indifferently, You answer it. This is the Hidden You family? Kong Mingming glanced at the caller ID and was stunned. He had the phone number of the Hidden You family, but he didn't know why they called. Kong Mingming wasn't particularly familiar with the Hidden You family. Oh? Ask him what's the matter? Ancestor Xianchen said. Okay, Master. Kong Mingming nodded and picked up the phone. Hello? I'm Kong Mingming. Elder Kong. I'm the family master of the Hidden You family. Elder Yu said carefully and respectfully. Kong Mingming's status was not the same as before. He naturally had to be careful. It's Elder Yu. What's the matter? Kong Mingming greeted him. Chapter 29:19. Say it. It's fine. Although Kong Mingming didn't know what Elder Yu wanted to say, in front of Elder Xianchen, Kong Ming couldn't say that it was inconvenient. Wouldn't that mean that he had something to hide from Elder Xianchen? So Kong Mingming could only say that it was fine. It's like this, Elder Kong. I heard that you have a grudge with Lin Yi? Elder Yu asked. What do you mean? What do you want to say? Kong Mingming's nerves tightened as he asked in a deep voice. Elder Kong, I just want to say that now, there is an opportunity to kill Lin Yi. Elder Yu heard that Kong Mingming seemed to be angry and quickly explained, Now, Hidden House Zhao's Elder Zhao wants to deal with Lin Yi and wants to poison him. It's like this. Elder Yu didn't hide it and told Kong Mingming about Elder Zhao wanting to use Zhao Qikuan as bait to invite Lin Yi for a meal and then poison him. Oh? Why are you telling me about this? If House Zhao wants to kill Lin Yi, then kill him. I'll be happier if he does. Kong Mingming was a little puzzled. Elder Yu called him to tell him this just to make him happy? No, the current situation is that Hidden House Zhao doesn't have a poison that can poison Lin Yi, so they asked us for help. However, we don't have the confidence that we can make Lin Yi not notice the existence of the poison. After all, Elder Kong, you know that Lin Yi's attainments in medicine are also very high. Old Master Yu said. So, I want to ask Elder Kong if there is any suitable poison. In this way, I can help Old Master Zhao. Elder Yu only said that Hidden House Zhao wanted to kill Lin Yi with poison, but he wouldn't say that he wanted to kill Lin Yi. It seemed that he was just building a bridge for Hidden House Zhao. Oh, is that so? Alright, I got it. I'll give you an answer after I study it. Kong Mingming understood Old Master Yu's meaning, but he did not immediately agree. After all, this matter had to be discussed with Patriarch Xianchen. Okay, Elder Kong. Then I will wait for the good news. Old Master Yu said quickly. After hanging up the phone, Kong Mingming did not hide anything. He told Patriarch Xianchen everything that Old Master Yu had said and asked him to make a decision. Isn't this a good thing? After hearing that, Patriarch Xianchen did not express any objections. Instead, he agreed. This way, someone can help us kill Lin Yi. We don't have to do anything. It saves us trouble. But that poison? Kong Mingming didn't know how to make any poison. As for the poison, I have to look up some information. Lin Yi is not a simple person. Ordinary poisons can't fool him. We have to get something special. Patriarch Xianchen pondered and said, Okay, Master. Then I will call Old Master Yu back and tell him that we will help? Kong Mingming asked. Sure, but this matter must be kept secret. Don't tell anyone else, Patriarch Xianchen said. Don't worry, Master. This is our enemy. It has nothing to do with others. I won't say anything. Kong Mingming nodded and promised. Kong Mingming went to call Old Master Yu, and Patriarch Xianchen went to look up information about poisons. At this time, Old Master Zhao had just returned to Hidden House Zhao. When he found out that Qikuan had come back at this time, He was a little surprised. He gave Qibing, who was driving, a look. Qibing, you go to your room first. Cooperate with us for the next few days. Don't let anything go wrong. He was afraid that Qibing would cause trouble without knowing the truth, so he told Qibing his plan on the road. He was going to get rid of Lin Yi with Qikuan's help. So, Qibing could pretend to be messing around these days, but he couldn't do anything else, because the position of the young master would still be his. Don't worry, Grandpa. I know what I'm doing. Qibing nodded and went back to his room. Old Master Zhao, on the other hand, went to Qikuan's room. Dang, dang, dang. Standing in front of Qikuan's room, Old Master Zhao knocked on the door. Who is it?
Come in.
Qikuan said casually. The door was pushed open, but no one spoke. Qikuan paused and raised his head, only to see Old Zhao.
He was even more shocked.
Old Master Zhao had come to his room personally. This surprised Qikuan, and he felt a little flattered. After all, he had been hiding in House Zhao and was under house arrest. Old Master Zhao had ignored him for a long time, and he was used to it. Grandpa, why are you here? Qikuan was disappointed in Old Master Zhao, but he was still his grandpa. He still had to be respectful. Old Master Zhao didn't say anything. After entering the room, he sat on the sofa and looked at Qikuan silently.
Grandpa.
Qikuan was even more puzzled. What did Old Master Zhao mean by this? Why didn't he say anything when he came in? Qikuan, you passed the test? Old Master Zhao finally spoke. He looked at Qikuan, his eyes complicated. Yeah, Grandpa, I'm back. Qikuan thought, wasn't this bullshit? But he still replied respectfully. Qikuan, was the test dangerous this time? Lin Yi, he's pretty strong to be able to bring you through such a dangerous test? Old Master Zhao's words made Qikuan even more confused. He didn't know what he was talking about. Grandpa, you came to find me. Qikuan was confused. I got the pill and completed the mission, but Elder Bai, isn't he dead? You're the one who got the pill, so naturally you can decide how to use it. Even if Elder Bai doesn't die, you're the one who calls the shots. Old Master Zhao waved his hand. I heard that Lin Yi's really strong now. Strong? Qikuan paused. He's alright. Grandpa, what do you mean? Qitan, I was wrong before. Compared to Qibing, you're the young man of House Zhao. Don't be angry before. I'm impressed because he brought back a qi-gathering pill. Qibing's eyes lit up as he spoke. You're right, Qibing. Old Master Zhao said. But now you brought back a great recovery pill, and that's a third-level pill, so you two are even so. Grandpa, you can't be saying. Qikuan jumped in shock as he looked at Old Master Zhao in disbelief. Could it be that Old Master Zhao's thinking had really changed? Chapter 29:20. He continued, oftentimes, as the head of a house, I have to think about the big picture. Before, I supported Zhao Qibing because of his contributions to the hidden house, and as the head of the house, I have to reward those who contribute to the house. I can't let them down. Otherwise, who would contribute to the house in the future? So, I supported Zhao Qibing. As for you, as Zhao Qibing's biggest competitor, I can only suppress you. But I couldn't do something like killing you myself, so I could only lock you up. Qikuan nodded silently. He understood what old Zhao was saying. He was just angry before, wondering why Zhao Qibing could get the position. But after knowing Zhao Qibing's contributions, he just felt that he was unlucky. Grandpa, I understand all of that. Qikuan sighed. Yes, you understand all of that. Now, you brought back a third-level pill for the house, and your contributions are equal to Qibing's. I won't be biased towards Zhao Qibing anymore. You guys have the same starting point, so I'm more inclined towards you being the head of the house. Qitan, do you understand? Old Master Zhao said in a serious tone.
Me?
Qikuan was a bit dumbfounded. Why was old Zhao saying this all of a sudden? Hidden House Han, Hidden House Pai, Hidden House Zhuang, these houses. Hidden House Zhuang used to be much weaker than us, and Hidden House Pai was about the same strength as us, but these two are doing better than us now.
Why is that?
Old Zhao paused here before continuing. I'm sure you understand, Zhao Qikuan. That's because they've accepted Lin Yi as their boss, and so they've gotten a huge boost. So, Grandpa, you're saying? Chikuin finally understood, and was pleasantly surprised. His grandpa finally understood what Lin Yi was capable of, and he was finally ready to join Lin Yi's side. That's right. Old Zhao nodded affirmatively. Before, Grandpa thought that Lin Yi was a freelancer and didn't have much ability. And, because of what happened with Zhao Qibing, we had some grudges with Lin Yi. Because of that, I never thought about the pros and cons of this matter. But now, it seems that you're the smarter one. He gave us, the hidden Zhao family, a way out. Chikuin was very happy to see his grandpa come back to his rights. He didn't know what to say. Grandpa, I just think that Boss Lin Yi treats me very well, and he's very strong. He can protect me, so... Chikuin said. Yes, I know. You don't have to explain. You did the right thing. Old Zhao said. It's just that Grandpa had some misunderstandings with Lin Yi before, and joining him like this is a bit sudden, and also Grandpa's face. Grandpa, our family didn't really respect Lin Yi boss in the first place. Why are you still thinking about face at a time like this? Boss Lin Yi's follower has already risen to the ancient level, and it'll be too late for us to be reserved. Chikuin was panicking. Why was Grandpa still thinking about face at a time like this? All ancient sects. Old Zhao's heart skipped a beat as he probed. Even the ancient sects serve Lin Yi? Not really, just ancient-level disciples, Chikuin said truthfully, not hiding anything. He didn't know that old Zhao was trying to get information out of him. Chikuin didn't know that Tuoba Wang was representing the yellow soil high sections. After all, this involved little Jiao, and Lin Yi didn't tell him in detail. He only said it vaguely, so Chikuin didn't know. I see. Old Zhao pretended to be surprised, but breathed a sigh of relief inwardly. It was just a few disciples, so it wasn't a big deal, but if there were ancient sects joining Lin Yi, then it'd be really troublesome. At that time, even if he killed Lin Yi and the ancient sects came for revenge, he wouldn't be able to do anything about it. But it wasn't yet. Chikuin, what do you think I should do now? If you really want Lin Yi boss to protect our hidden house, I think you should have a banquet and apologize to Boss Lin Yi, letting bygones be bygones, Chikuin suggested. You're right. Old Zhao was about to laugh out loud. Zhao Chikuin, don't you know that the older you are, the wiser you are? I've been waiting for you to say this, for you to say it yourself. Grandpa, does that mean you agree? Chikuin breathed a sigh of relief. If he called Lin Yi boss and he still put on airs, then Lin Yi wouldn't be happy. Even if he called House Zhao his little brother for his sake, he wouldn't feel good about it. But if old Zhao took the initiative to hold a banquet and apologize, then everything would be fine. Yeah, I'll listen to you, right? Old Zhao waved his hand. Here, I'll think about it and call a family meeting. I'll treat Lin Yi to a meal and confirm this relationship. All right, Grandpa, I'll go tell Boss Lin Yi our decision right now. Chikuin said happily. Okay, go. Old Zhao said. I'll announce in a bit that you and Zhao Qibing's positions in the hidden house will be the same from now onwards. You'll both be the heir of the house. You know that I can't just take away Zhao Qibing's heir position all of a sudden. He contributed to the house, so it'll depend on your contributions. But you have Lin Yi to protect you, so it shouldn't be a problem in the future. I understand, Grandpa. Chikuin said quickly. If old Zhao had just said that he'd take away Zhao Qibing and make Zhao Chikuin the heir, then Chikuin would have been confused and would have been exposed. But now, the more he said it, the more Chikuin felt that it was reasonable. After returning home, Lin Yi didn't even have time to talk to Meng Yao and Yushu about the interesting things that happened in the Sky Elixir Sex test before he was infuriated by a troublesome matter. These days, Tianli had been living like a drunkard, trying to get by as long as he could. He didn't report the company's matters to House Liu, and he didn't tell Fatty Lai and the others either. Instead, he just smoked every day. The department manager who knew the truth would tell his close colleagues in the company, and soon, the whole company knew that Tianli was done for. And so, resignation letters flew everywhere and everyone in the company left. Tianli wanted to hide it, but he couldn't, because at this time, the bank had already gone to the Liu family to confiscate the real estate they had mortgaged. The Liu family's villa was one of them. When Jinhu and Liu Tianli were informed by the bank staff that Tianli hadn't repaid the loan on time, the villa had been seized. Both of them were dumbfounded.
What?
You're saying that this villa and the rest of the Liu family's real estate were all mortgaged by Tianli? Liu Tianli looked at the bank staff in shock. He didn't interfere with House Liu's business, so naturally he didn't know what Tianli was doing. Could there be a mistake? Mr. Liu, we're just following the rules. This is the mortgage application with Mr. Tianli's signature. Please take a look. If you don't believe it, you can call Mr. Tianli yourself. The bank staff smiled bitterly. House Liu was one of the common noble houses, and even if they weren't doing well right now, it wasn't something a small staff like him could mess with, so he spoke politely. Tianli, there's no problem with these documents. It seems like it really is that bastard Tianli's doing. Jinhu sighed as he looked at the mortgage application in the staff's hands. Dad, don't worry. I'll call Tianli right now and ask him what's going on. Liu Tianli frowned as he dialed Tianli's number. Tianli met the bank staff in the company who were going to seize the skyscraper. He didn't say anything, but dismissed all the employees and walked out of the building alone, sitting quietly on the green belt in front of the building. He didn't even bother to explain, letting the bank staff seize the building. The people left in the company were all old people, most of them direct descendants of Liu Jing'an's generation. They were also the most loyal direct descendants, and none of them resigned. Instead, they stayed with Tianli until the end. But now they didn't even have a place to work. Disappointment flashed in their eyes as they looked at the dispirited Tianli sitting in front of the green belt. Tianli was far worse than Liu Jing'an. Director Chen, what do we do now? Out of all these people, the one with the highest position in the company was Director Chen. His position in the company was second only to one, and above tens of thousands of people. The chairman and CEO of the company was Liu Tianli, and the vice CEO was Liu Jing'an. But ever since she left, it was just a title. Only Director Chen was left.
Haze.
Director Chen sighed helplessly. I'll give Miss Liu a call. Although Liu Jing'an had already left, telling these people not to bother her anymore. Her job was done, and vice CEO was just a title forever. But Director Chen had no choice but to call Liu Jing'an now. The company was in too big of a crisis. Director Chen? Liu Jing'an had just parked her BMW when she received Director Chen's call. She was a bit surprised. Why was Director Chen calling her all of a sudden? Vice CEO Liu, it's me. Director Chen called Liu Jing'an as Vice CEO Liu because Tianli's surname was Liu as well. He could only add the word vice to Liu Jing'an's name. Otherwise, he would have left it out. What's the matter? Liu Jing'an asked curiously. Vice CEO Liu, the company is in trouble. Director Chen said urgently, you're tuning in to the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.